English translation: late at night, Mr. Liu was cheated. She was forced to marry an old man she had never met, Mr. Liu-san, and after 3 years of forbearance, she decided to cheat on her husband. That night, she slept with the beautiful and evil man, but who knew that it was her husband? In front of others, he was Professor Yang, but behind others, he was really a teaching beast. Mr. Liu, who was known as an adulterer, ate his young wife clean every night and became addicted. One day, she finally couldn't stand it anymore. We will be struck by lightning if we do this. Yanzhou raised his eyebrows and smiled. Sleeping with my wife is natural. Chapter 1, Your First Time. How much for the night? Sis will pay. On the 3rd anniversary of her marriage, Jiang Wan decided to cheat on their husband she had never even met. After gathering some liquid courage at the club, she carefully scanned the crowd and finally stopped a man. Under the interwoven lights, the man stood tall in a dark navy suit, a cashmere turtleneck underneath, a pair of gold-rimmed glasses perched on a straight, noble nose. He radiated elegance and charm, undeniably handsome. Several men in black suits behind him quickly snapped to attention and tried to pull her away. How dare you? But the moment Yanzhou saw the alluring yet pure face before him, he raised his hand to stop them. With long, distinct fingers, he adjusted his glasses and chuckled. You want to keep me? Not only was he good-looking. Even his voice was deep and magnetic. Jiang Wan was momentarily dazed. Then, with a flirty smile, she hooked his tie and said, Yes. I've got my eye on you. Be mine. Once I get divorced, I'll make sure you're well taken care of. 3 years ago, she was forced to marry a man she'd never seen. She had only his number, no photo, no profile. Nothing. He was cloaked in mystery. All she knew was his identity, 3rd master of the Liu family. Rumor had it he was cursed. 3 of his fiancées had died shortly after their engagements. Old Master Liu was so desperate, he spent a fortune hiring a renowned fortune teller. 3 years ago, the master divined that the Jiang family had a blessed daughter whose destiny could suppress the 3rd master's curse. Thus, the marriage was arranged. The Jiang family, unwilling to sacrifice their precious Lucky Star adopted daughter, sent their real daughter instead. Jiang Wan, labeled a calamity star and exiled to poor relatives in the countryside. Over the past 3 years, she had constantly faked scandals and sent them to her so-called husband, but the man never responded. So this time, she changed tactics. Sleep with someone else, then file for divorce. And the man in front of her? Perfect candidate. Yanzhou studied her and suddenly smiled. Are you sure you want to keep me? Jiang Wan froze for a moment, then steeled herself. I'm sure. When he didn't react, she bit her lip and teased, Don't tell me you're not up to it. His smile faded slightly. Grabbing her wrist, he pulled her away from the crowd. Jiang Wan was taken to the parking garage. The next second, she was shoved into the back seat. Before she could react, the man removed his glasses and kissed her. The kiss came out of nowhere, fierce and overwhelming, saturated with raw male hormones that swallowed her whole. What started as a test quickly ignited into something uncontrollable in the woman's warm and fragrant embrace. She was the first woman who had ever stirred anything in him. Yanzhou buried his face in her neck, kissing more wildly, more recklessly. When her lips began to ache from his intensity, she pressed against him with trembling hands. Wait. Apparently, suggesting he was incapable had struck a nerve. His dark eyes flashed with danger as he murmured in a husky, seductive voice. Too late to regret now. His kisses left her legs weak. She had no experience, couldn't handle him, and by the time she thought of backing out it was far too late. The next morning, harsh sunlight pierced through the gaps in the curtains, stinging her eyes. She slowly opened them, her body aching all over with unbearable soreness and fatigue. She reached out and touched a warm body beside her, then froze. There, next to her, was a face too perfect to be real. His bone structure was exquisite, the lines of his face smooth and noble, with deep-set eyes and a high brow. Masculine and breathtaking. She had really slept with a top-tier man. Who would thought she'd one day offer herself to a stranger just to get divorced? Oh well. She wasn't the sentimental type. As long as she could get that divorce, everything would be worth it. The man beside her opened his eyes at some point, and that deep, magnetic voice drifted to her ears. Was it your first time? Chapter 2, Putting on Pants and Pretending Not to Know Each Other. So what if it was my first time? You should feel honored. She snapped, flipping the blanket off and getting out of bed. Put on pants and pretend nothing happened typical. As soon as she stood up, her legs gave way, and she nearly collapsed. This gigolo-esque combat power was terrifying. After freshening up and getting dressed, Jiang Wan walked out of the bathroom. The man stood behind the floor-to-ceiling window, wearing only a pair of dress pants, no belt, their waistband hanging precariously low. She paused, staring at him for quite a while. The lighting in the car last night had been too dim, and she hadn't realized just how incredible this top-tier escort's physique actually was. Defined muscle lines, lean and strong, with a golden ratio of broad shoulders and a narrow waist, the type who looked slim in clothes and ripped without them. And the height at least 190 centimeters. No wonder he had so much stamina. Through the reflection in the glass, Yanzhou noticed her gaze and slowly turned around. Had enough of staring. Snapping out of it, Jiang Wan pulled out her wallet. Seeing only 500 yuan in cash left, she gritted her teeth, pulled out 250 and a 5 Mao coin, and placed them on the bed. This is your hard-earned money. Thanks, and goodbye. Hopefully forever. Less than 20 minutes after Jiang Wan left, Secretary Jiang Jin appeared at the door. He glanced at the messy bed, noticed the cash 250 yuan, with the 5 Mao coin even lying on the floor. He bent down to pick it up, puzzled. Third master, what's this? Payment, Yanzhou replied calmly. Jiang Jin sucked in a sharp breath. Third master, you paid for it. That's cheating. You're married. Yanzhou buttoned up his shirt at a steady pace. Got paid by my wife. Does that count as cheating? Over the past few years, he had been occupied with projects in Europe and couldn't manage domestic affairs. 3 years ago, his father had gone behind his back and arranged a marriage for him with a female university student, no less. Claiming her fortune was compatible with his, the old man had even taken care of the registration. He'd originally assumed she was a quiet and obedient type. He figured once he wrapped up the European project and returned to China, he would have a proper conversation with her. But as it turned out, the woman wasn't the least bit obedient. She was flashy and unrestrained in her behavior. Somehow, she had even gotten his phone number and repeatedly sent him ambiguous photos of herself with other men, each message precisely pressing his limits like it was deliberate. At first, he thought she was just ignorant. But over time, it felt like she was purposely provoking him. Just yesterday, upon returning to China, he heard she was at a nightclub. Had he not shown up in time, she really would have cheated on him. What surprised him most was discovering she was a virgin. That only confirmed her unfaithful wife act was calculated. Jiang Jin was stunned. Third master actually slept with that flirtatious, loose woman. At that moment, his phone chimed with a breaking news alert. Jiang Jin glanced at it, and his expression changed drastically. Third master, you and madam, you're on the news. Yanzhou put on his glasses, glanced at the screen, and frowned slightly but remained calm. At the Jiang family villa. Jiang Wendy slammed a stack of newspapers onto the table and pointed at her furiously. Look at what you've done. How dare you cheat? The photo on the paper clearly showed her face, though the man's back was all that could be seen. In bold letters underneath. Third young madam of the Lu family caught visiting a club at night with a male model, suspected infidelity. A sharp glint flashed in Jiang Wan's eyes. Wow, the paparazzi are fast. Smack. A slap landed hard across her left cheek. Her head whipped to the side from the sudden blow. Madame Jiang's voice followed, filled with rage. You shameless brat. It was one thing when you used to party and fool around, but now you're a married woman and still sleeping around. You've ruined the Jiang family's reputation. Covering her face, Jiang Wan hid the cold glint in her eyes. Ruined the family name. These were the same parents who abandoned their own daughter, never cared for her, and only remembered her 3 years ago when they needed someone to marry off to a mysterious old man. Chapter 3, Are we finally getting divorced? They didn't even ask for her opinion and forced her to marry, but now they have the nerve to accuse her of ruining the Jiang family's reputation. Jiang Wan suppressed the coldness in her eyes, secretly pinched her thigh, and squeezed out tears. Mom, I can't resist the temptation outside either. Just shut up. Jiang Wendy looked very disappointed with himself. Look at the disgusting marks on your neck, and then look at the way you are dressed like a prostitute. You don't even have basic moral integrity. Do you still have any shame? Dad, Mom, don't be angry. Jiang Qing stood up and tried to persuade her. Sister has been living in the countryside. She is uneducated and has never seen the world. It is inevitable that she will learn bad things after staying in the big city for a long time. She must have been deceived by those men and is so confused. On the surface, it was persuasion, but in reality it was confirming her reputation as a promiscuous woman. A wild girl who grew up in the countryside. To have the opportunity to marry into a wealthy family is a blessing and one should be grateful. What about her? Jiang Wan, this idiot, is just courting death. If it weren't for the fact that Mr. Lu San was unlucky in marrying wives, how could she have such a good thing as marrying into the Lu family? Not only did she not cherish the old man she disliked, but she also cheated on him. It's really brainless. She couldn't resist the temptation of wealth and luxury and made a big mistake. Even if that old man Mr. Lu didn't kill her, she would still have a hard time in the Lu family. Jiang Wan sobbed timidly and said nothing. Mrs. Jiang rolled her eyes at her. I really don't want to acknowledge this biological daughter. It's so shameful. Jiang Wendy frowned and paced hurriedly. This third Master Lu is not a good person. If we really anger him, our Jiang family will suffer. It turns out that what the master said back then was right. His own daughter is here specifically to defeat them. I'm in real trouble. Dad, what should I do now? The third master will definitely divorce me, Tilda. Jiang Wan answered weakly. I feel so happy. She cheated and made such a big fuss. The old man will definitely not tolerate her this time. The Jiang family threatened her not to file for divorce. But it didn't say that Mr. Lu Sanya couldn't mention it. How dare you say that? Jiang Wendy was furious and raised his hand to hit her. At this time, the nanny came over and said, Master, there is a gentleman outside who says he is the secretary of the third master. Jiang Wendy was stunned. Hurry up and ask him to come in. Jiang Wan frowned. The third master's secretary. Not long after, a thin, handsome and gentle man in a suit walked over. Secretary Jiang, why are you here? Jiang Wendy stepped forward respectfully. Since the other party was third master's man, he dared not neglect him. The third master has something for me to convey. Jiang Wendy's smile froze. Could it be that the third master really wants to divorce Jiang Wan? He glared at Jiang Wan with deep resentment. He had finally gotten connected to the Lu family, but it was all ruined by this shameless daughter. Jiang Wan turned a blind eye and raised the corners of her mouth imperceptibly. It seems that the divorce agreement she has been waiting for is finally coming. The third master said that the madam was just playful and ignorant. He has sent someone to deal with the news matter. He asked you two elders not to make it too difficult for her. As soon as he finished speaking, the smile on Jiang Wan's face froze and his mind went blank. Aren't you here to get a divorce? It has come to this point. Divorce. Madam Jiang and Jiang Wendy looked at each other. The third master didn't blame Wan. The third master is also worried that if this happens, the two elders will force Madam to divorce, so they asked me to convey it. After all, Madam is young and ignorant, so it is understandable that she makes mistakes occasionally. Chapter for their husband I have never met has returned. Jiang Wan lowered her head and clenched her fists. Their whole face is black. He even wore a green hat, and it was only because he was young and ignorant, so he could be forgiven for making mistakes occasionally. The third master is really generous. Damn it. The money spent on creating the scandal last night was wasted. Even though his wife cheated on him, he could still tolerate it. Her heart bleeds when she thinks about the money she has wasted. It hurts, it really hurts. Jiang Wendy came back to his senses, and he breathed a sigh of relief. He quickly replied, why would we persuade Wan to divorce third master? Third master is magnanimous, and it is Wan's blessing. You can rest assured, third master, after today, we will never let Wan cause a scandal like today again. Mrs. Jiang also responded throughout the whole process. In the end, the two elders smiled and sent Jiang Zhen out, showing their fawning attitude to the fullest. Jiang Wan laughed at herself in her heart. These are her biological parents. Jiang Wan, since the third master doesn't blame you, you should just be a good third wife from now on. Jiang Wendy stopped laughing and warned her with a stern face, if you dare to cause today's scandal again and displease the third master, you won't be able to take the relics left by your master. Jiang Guan's eyes turned slightly cold and he clenched his fists secretly. Her biological parents regarded her as a disaster and a monster. The country master loved her and treated her as his own daughter, and even her several senior brothers doted on her and loved her very much. Now that my master has passed away, my fellow apprentices are also gone. The jade pendant her master left her became a threat to her by her biological father. If the master were still alive, he would definitely feel heartbroken for her, right? That's right, sister. There's nothing wrong with being the third wife. At least it's much better than your hard life in the countryside. Jiang Qing held her hand and counseled her. Every word was for her own good. He had already pushed her into the fire pit, so how could he expect her to climb out of it? Jiang Wan pursed her lips, suppressed the resentment and coldness in her eyes, and said in relief, I know. She turned and left. She didn't want to stay in this disgusting home for even a moment. Jiang Wan returned to the Lu mansion, and housekeeper Chen and the servants were running around in the living room in a panic. Until she showed up, everyone breathed a sigh of relief. Butler Chen stepped forward quickly, almost crying, Madam, you are finally back. Although it was not the first time that the madam did not return home at night, they had already received the news that the third master had returned. It is said that the third master has a bad temper. If he gets angry, it will implicate them. It's scary to think about it. Jiang Wan said calmly, I played with others too late last night and slept in the hotel. Normally, Butler Chen would find it somewhat difficult to speak when hearing these words. If word got out that she was still behaving in such a dissolute manner even though she was married, her reputation would be ruined in the capital. But this time he was unexpectedly calm. I know, but this time I want to remind you that the third master has returned to his country. Jiang Wan's smile froze. The old man returned home. No wonder he asked his secretary to go to the Jiang family to convey his words as soon as the news came out. It turns out he is back. Madam, listen to my advice. The third master is not a good person and has a bad temper. He can't control your affairs when he is abroad, but now that he has returned, you should be more obedient. Butler Chen tried to persuade him with all kinds of words. Jiang Wan lowered her eyes. Be content? There was no way she could be at peace. Before the divorce, she couldn't settle down at all. Jiang Wan returned to the bedroom, took off her clothes, soaked in the bathtub, and picked up a mirror to look at the marks left on her body. That top star was really harsh last night. The phone rang, and the caller ID showed old 5. She was so angry that she answered the call and cursed, You bald ass. You have no loyalty. Did you really abandon me and run away last night? Chapter 5, The new professor is so handsome. And Laowu is her only friend in the imperial capital. He is only a few years older than her and is the grandson of an old friend of her master. His surname is In and his given name is Bisu. This homonym sounds bad, as he is the 5th-generation great-grandson of the In family, so he gave himself the nickname Laowu to make himself look mature beyond his years. The other party cried out, Little ancestor, it was you who said you wanted to book a whole night. And you only asked me to take pictures and post them, but you didn't tell me to wait for you. Didn't you say that men mind being cuckolded the most? I cheated on him, but he still won't divorce me. I wasted all my money. What? He doesn't want a divorce. And Laowu was surprised. That shouldn't be the case. Isn't he a normal man? Not a normal man. Jiang Wan suddenly remembered something and couldn't help but raise the corners of her mouth. She got up from the bathtub, took off her bathrobe and wrapped it around her smooth body, walked out of the bathroom, picked up her phone and took a photo of the marks on her neck, with the following text attached. Husband, I heard that you returned to China, what do you think? Lu Group. Lu Yanzhou placed his phone on the table, tapping it with his fingertips from time to time, his eyes fixed on the selfie she had sent him. The marks were clearly visible on her snow-white skin, with a hint of temptation. His eyes were a little dim. There was a knock on the office door. He lifted his eyelids and said, Come in. Jiangjin pushed the door open and walked in. Third master, I went to the Jiang family. The Jiang family didn't embarrass Madam. Even if they did, it was Madam's own fault. I found out that it was Madam who sent the news to the paparazzi herself. After he finished speaking, he couldn't help but complain, Madam has been restless these years. Who knows, she might cheat on you one day. I think you should divorce her as soon as possible. Lu Yangzhou leaned back in his chair, tapping the table with his fingertips, as if thinking about something. Send ambiguous photos. Deliberately creating cheating news. Is this little girl causing all this trouble just to get a divorce? Har har, that's interesting. He raised his eyes and said, I remember she is at Imperial University. Which department is she in? Jiang Jun was stunned. It seems to be the archaeology department. I heard that the Jiang family gave her a backdoor. Her grades are terrible. She failed several courses. I guess she will have to repeat a few years. Madam, have you ever thought about your studies all these years? She just thinks about eating, drinking and having fun, and is cuckolding the third master. Lu Yangzhou nodded. Please inform the school office that I will change my lecture from the finance department to the archaeology department tomorrow. Jiang Jun was dumbfounded. Could it be that the third master really fell in love with that fickle woman? The next morning, Jiang Wan sat at the dining table with a depressed look on her face, poking the food on the plate with a fork and looking resentful. She has already posted that photo. Any normal man would have been unable to tolerate it and would have come back to settle the score with her. But it was a whole night. The other party has read it but not replied. Isn't it said that the third master has a bad temper? She had provoked him again and again, and the grass on his head was enough to open a horse farm, but he could still endure it. Is he a Ninja Turtle? So, I changed the old man's note to cuckold. At this moment, her cell phone rang. It's my college classmate, Xu Yi. Wanbao, you've been skipping classes for a week. You're risking your life. Xu Yi is a friend Jiang Wan made during her 3 years at Imperial Capital University. She comes from a wealthy family and is considered a wealthy woman by her classmates. He is a carefree person and has no bad intentions. Most of the students in their third year were writing their graduation theses, but she and Xu Yi both failed a course. They were sisters in distress, and they worked together to make up the marks and developed a deep friendship. And during this time she indeed forgot that she had classes. Jiang Wan held her forehead and said, I'll go tomorrow. Don't come tomorrow, come today, or you'll miss it. I heard that there's a new professor teaching in our school, invited by Imperial University. He'll only teach one class, and he chose to teach in our archaeology department. I heard that the professor is super handsome. Chapter 6, Professor? The top star of a nightclub. It is strange that the professor invited by Imperial Capital University to give lectures would choose to teach in the Department of Archaeology. Archaeology is a rare subject in the Imperial University, and the number of applicants is quite small. Xu Yi entered the archaeology department at her family's request, as her father is the director of a museum. She chose the archaeology department because of her master. How handsome can it be? Jiang Wan seemed nonchalant. Speaking of handsome guys, the top guy last night could be said to be the most handsome guy she had ever seen in her life. That face, that figure. TSK. Being a gigolo is a waste of talent. Xu Yi also smiled, you'll know when you come. I'll be waiting for you. Jiang Wan returned to the Imperial University at 9 in the morning. Xu Yi was already waiting for her at the bottom of the teaching building. You are quite amazing. You failed all the courses and you even skipped classes. Do you really want to repeat the year? Xu Yi picked up his bag and walked side by side with her. Jiang Wan shrugged, I don't care. Xu Yi shook his head after hearing this, you are so optimistic. When the two arrived at the classroom, there were almost no seats left. It was almost full, and mostly girls, many of whom were from other departments who came to attend the class. Jiang Wan put away her notebook and asked, when did the Department of Archaeology become so popular? It's never the class that's popular, it's the lecturer. How can I not be popular when I know a handsome professor is here? Xu Yi looked mysterious. Professor Yang is a researcher, a PhD student in astrophysics at Cambridge. As soon as he returned to China, he was invited by the dean of the astronomy department. I heard that he was going to choose Huaxia Institute of Physics, but he chose our Imperial University. The key is that he is also a financial tycoon. He was supposed to teach a class in the finance department, but he changed his mind at the last minute and chose our archaeology department. Don't you think it's strange? After hearing what she said, Jiang Wan became curious indeed. A tall figure appeared outside the door slowly. The girls present were in an uproar. Xu Yi's eyes sparkled with gold. Oh my god, Professor Yang is so handsome. The man has a tall and straight figure. A well-fitting grey suit with clean lines and fine fabric exudes an air of luxury that is hard to conceal. Most men wear glasses to hide their looks, but he releases his charm. The temperament is noble, cool and unworldly. Jiang Wan took a closer look. I can't laugh anymore. This man. Wasn't he the top star in the nightclub last night? Jiang Wan's mind was blank and her thoughts were in a mess. She would never mistake a man's face. Their gigolo of the club turned into a specially invited professor of Peking University. This is too. Their words, against the will of heaven, flashed through her mind. The moment she met the man's gaze, Jiang Wan shrank back and quickly picked up her notebook to cover her face. He wouldn't recognize her, would he? It's so annoying. She also slept with someone. Yanzhou witnessed a woman covering herself in panic, and he pursed his lips imperceptibly, remaining calm and leisurely as he began to lecture. Throughout the entire class, she had no intention of listening at all. She was distracted and aimless the whole time. The student in green. Yanzhou placed his hands on the edge of the podium, his eyes fixed on the audience. Everyone looked at me and I looked at you. Finally, his eyes fell on Jiang Wan, who was wearing green clothes. Shuyi nudged her with his elbow, full of envy. I'm calling you. Jiang Wan looked down at the clothes she was wearing. I almost suspected that I was wearing green. This is clearly blue. Yanzhou was calm, as if he had never met her before. Classmate, are you distracted in my class? Do you find it boring? If looks could kill. I'm afraid she has been killed by the eyes of other girls 100 times. Jiang Wan gritted her teeth, stood up, and said unhappily, Professor, I don't understand what you are saying. Who is this woman? How dare she talk to the professor like that? I heard that she is the adopted daughter of the Jiang family, from the countryside, and she didn't even graduate from junior high school. She got into university through the back door and just wanted to get a diploma. It's strange that she can understand. Chapter 7, She's having an affair with another man. Jiang Wan didn't take the doubts and ridicules coming from behind her seriously at all, and her eyes were always on the man. Yanzhou pushed his gold-rimmed glasses with his bony fingers and fixed his gaze on her face. What's your name? Jiang Wan pursed her lips and didn't answer. Shuyi raised his hand. Professor Yang, her name is Jiang Wan. Yanzhou hummed, which word? Is it the Wan in Gwan Chang Tiaro Yu Bai Nan? Yes, yes, yes. Yanzhou looked at Jiang Wan, who remained silent and smiled. It's a good name. Jiang Wan sat down amidst the cold stares from the girls, feeling extremely uncomfortable. She clenched her fists. What does this man mean? Could it be that he recognized her and called her name on purpose? After the class, many girls rushed to the podium and asked for his contact information. Professor Yang, do you have a girlfriend? The brave girls come straight to the point. Yanzhou picked up the watch on the table and put it on, put away his textbooks, and smiled. I'm married. The girls retreated in disappointment. Married. Jiang Wan pricked up her ears and felt very upset when she heard this. I was so angry that I vomited blood. Still working as a gigolo after getting married? It's bad enough that she cheated on her husband, but she also accidentally cheated on a married man. Oh my god. Moral decline. Jiang Wan hurriedly packed up her textbooks and left the classroom. The man's eyes passed over her figure, a faint curve appeared at the corner of his lips, and he sent a message on his mobile phone as if nothing had happened. Just as she went downstairs, she received a text message on her mobile phone. The note is, cuckold. This was the first time that her husband, whom she had never met, sent her a message. Click to take a look. The photos are great, take more, I like them. Jiang Wan's hand holding the phone trembled and she couldn't help feeling cold. What a old pervert. He is indeed not a normal man. Sister, are you in school? I happened to meet Jiang Qing and her best friend Chen Feishue outside the school gate. Both of them are from the Department of Finance. Jiang Wan frowned and didn't respond. Chen Feishue smiled with a dagger hidden in her heart. It doesn't matter whether a village girl who hasn't even graduated from junior high school comes or not. She won't understand anyway, so won't she still fail the exam? Feishue, stop talking. Jiang Qing held her back. Wanwan is my sister. She just didn't finish junior high school, and she couldn't adapt to going to college. Please don't embarrass her. After that, she looked at Jiang Wan and said earnestly, Sister, I'm glad you can come back to class. After all, academic studies are really important. No matter how many years you repeat, I really hope you can graduate successfully. It was clear that his words were mocking her for not being able to graduate, but Jiang Wan didn't listen at all. She smiled at her and said, Don't worry about it. I can graduate if I want. She walked away. Why are you pretending? Chen Feishua watched the two of them leave, and asked in confusion, Qingqing, she is just a country girl adopted by your family. Do you have to be so nice to her? Jiang Qing's smile faded slightly. All her classmates and friends thought that she was the daughter of the Jiang family, and that Jiang Wan was adopted. All those who have admired her over the years were only attracted by her background as the daughter of the Jiang family. Fortunately, Jiang Wan is a disaster star who is not taken seriously by the Jiang family. I am not as good as her in every way. She, a real daughter, deserves to be stepped on by her. I can never raise my head. Feishue, you don't understand. I have treated her as my own sister all these years, and my parents treat her as their own daughter. I really want the best for her, but she is messing around with other men. Jiang Qing felt very sad, as if she was watching a loved one walking on a path of no return and was helpless and unable to persuade them. Chen Feishue was surprised, she's messing around with other men. Chapter 8, Reputation Damaged. Sure, keep your voice down. It's not good for this to get out. Chen Feishue snorted, as if she had caught something, and said confidently, What are you afraid of? You are just too kind. An unruly woman like her should be exposed. The next morning, Jiang Wan woke up in a cold sweat. She had a nightmare all night, dreaming that she was bullied by the old man. As he dreamed, the old man's face turned into Professor Yan. Jiang Wan gasped. Is she crazy perhaps? She washed up and sobered up, and Shui suddenly sent her a message, Wanbao, check the forum. University forums have always been the source of gossip. This time is no exception. The key point is that the person who was exposed was her. The name of the forum is, Archaeology Department Female Surnamed J. Fucks in Nightclub. Attached was a newspaper clipping of the very photo she had sent to the paparazzi. However, the content related to Mrs. Liu was cut out. She and Mr. Liu Sanya are in a secret marriage. Apart from the Liu family and the Jiang family, no one would know about her relationship with Mr. Liu Sanya. The news that night was not actually spread very widely, apparently because it was blocked by Mr. Liu San. But the person who knew about it and was afraid to reveal her identity as Mrs. Liu was most likely Jiang Qing. After all, the person who was originally married to Mr. Liu Sanya was Jiang Qing. Once her secret marriage partner was revealed, the Jiang family's secret of replacing the former would be discovered. Jiang Wan laughed angrily. I don't have the guts to offend Mr. Liu Sanya. I know how to use this scandal to fabricate her. There was a review class in the morning, so Jiang Wan went back to the university after breakfast. All the students who passed by pointed fingers at her. The influence of the forum was no less than that of Weibo. The whole school knew about any slight movement. Wanwan. Shuyi walked towards her. What on earth is going on with that forum? It's a bit unorthodox to explain that I went out to find a male model just to get a divorce. It would be better if. Actually, that's my boyfriend. You have a boyfriend? Shuyi was surprised, then thought of something, raised his eyebrows and smiled at her, but looking at his figure, your boyfriend seems to have a good figure, and he looks handsome too, right? She forced a smile. I was going to say it's the same as Professor Yang. Before Shuyi could react, Jiang Qingjing and Chen Feishue and several other girls came over. Chen Feishue looked at Jiang Wan. Some people still have the nerve to come to class. If it were me, I wouldn't even be able to leave the house. That's right, I didn't expect she was so promiscuous in private. She even went out to mess around with other men. Shuyi said impatiently, what does this have to do with you? Why do you like to meddle in other people's affairs so much? Chen Feishue disagreed. The Imperial University has really lowered the threshold to have a student like her. Aren't you afraid of being embarrassed by hanging out with this kind of person? Jiang Wan ignored them and looked directly at Jiang Qing. Did you post the photo on the forum? Jiang Qing was stunned. Of course, she didn't post the photo on the forum, but she deliberately revealed it to Chen Feishue. What are you talking about? I really don't know what the photos on the forum are. Chen Feishue sneered, you dared to mess around with a man outside in a nightclub. You were caught on camera, and you're still afraid that others will know? I think you came to college not to get a degree, but to seduce rich men. Are you a pheasant who wants to fly up to a branch and become a phoenix? This statement caused others to laugh at him. Jiang Wan ignored the others and only looked at Jiang Qing, pretending to be embarrassed. If you insist on doing this, then I can only tell them the truth. Jiang Qing's expression froze. Sister, what are you talking about? Jiang Wan suddenly came closer and said in a voice that only she could hear, delete the post, or I will tell Mr. Lu that the woman he wants to marry is you. When the people in the Lu family find out, will they marry you to the old man whose 3 fiancés have died? Chapter 9, Rumored Boyfriend. Jiang Qing's face turned pale and he clenched his fists. She would never marry an old man like that. Jiang Qing, didn't you promise me to keep the fact that I have a boyfriend a secret? How could you reveal it to me? Chen Feishue and several girls looked at each other. This country bumpkin has a boyfriend. Xu Yi chuckled. Wan Wan and her boyfriend were photographed in a nightclub, and you guys spread rumors that she was having affairs with other men. She's already a junior in college, and you're not letting her have a relationship. You're really nosy. Jiang Qing looked extremely ugly. If she denies it now, once she tells the third master the truth, won't she be the one marrying him? She doesn't want to marry an old, ugly man. But if Jiang Wan dares to cheat, she must let the third master know. Sister, this is all a misunderstanding. Did you hear that? Jiang Wan glanced at the 3 people with different expressions. If you don't delete the post, I can only sue you for defamation and slander. After all, you can't afford to offend my boyfriend. If you don't believe me, ask Jiang Qing. Their boyfriend, I say. Actually, it means husband. Even if Jiang Qing knew that the man in the photo was not Mr. Lusanya, would she dare to admit it? Jiang Qing bit her lip, her eyes turned red, and she turned and ran away. Chen Feishue and others also hurriedly chased after him. Xu Yi crossed her arms. It's so satisfying to see them look like they were slapped in the face after they succeeded. But your boyfriend is not a rich second generation, right? Is he good to you? She said with a worried expression. Nowadays, those rich second generations are very fickle, you have to be careful. When did Jiang Wan start dating a boyfriend? A low voice came. Jiang Wan's smile froze and she turned back suddenly. The man was dressed in a neatly dressed dark suit, his tie was neatly tied, and he wore gold-rimmed glasses on his tall nose, looking elegant and refined. He was completely different from the lustful and wild person he was that night. Like the Buddha who is abstinent, holy, and has no desires. When you get close, you feel an inexplicable sense of oppression that makes it impossible to move. For the first time, she understood the meaning of the words handsome and charming. Yang, Professor Yang. Xu Yi excitedly reached out to pull Jiang Wan, but Jiang Wan kept pulling him away. Can't you see she's embarrassed? The nonsense was even heard by the person involved. Lu Yanzhou stopped in front of her, calmly opened his phone, showed her the photos he had edited from the forum, and asked meaningfully, boyfriend? Jiang Wan lowered her head. I'm looking for a crack in the ground and I can't wait to crawl into it. Seeing that she pursed her lips and didn't speak, the man put away his phone and asked meaningfully, when did he become your boyfriend? He knew about the forum, but he was just curious about how this little girl would solve it. Unexpectedly, she is not stupid. Know how to go with the flow and respond to situations as they arise. But the plan hit him in the face. Xu Yi looked at Lu Yanzhou, then at Jiang Wan, and always felt that there was a wonderful feeling between them. It cannot be seen through, cannot be explained, and cannot be understood. Jiang Wan couldn't hold it in any longer. Well, my mom asked me to go home and collect the clothes. He took 2 steps timidly. The man said, stop. Xu Yi felt that the atmosphere was a little subtle, so he made an excuse. Wan, I suddenly remembered that I have other classes. I'll leave first. I'm sorry, sister. Seeing that Xu Yi ran faster than herself, Jiang Wan secretly cursed her for being useless. She turned around and laughed dryly. Professor Yang, I admit that I lied. I was just joking. Please be magnanimous and don't bother with me. Chapter 10. Are you afraid of me? Lu Yanzhou stroked the dial with his fingertips, calm and composed. You're using me as a shield. If I argue with you, will I become a villain? She pursed her lips and said nothing. The man took a step closer, and she took a step back, smelling his cool breath. The entanglement of that night, the moment when the extreme ice and fire melted, flashed back in her mind. He noticed something and narrowed his eyes. "Are you afraid of me?" She shook her head. Lu Yangzhu examined her and asked, "Weren't you very brave that night?" Jiang Wan muttered quietly, "If you knew you were a professor, I wouldn't." "Don't you still have classes?" He interrupted calmly, his eyes fixed. Jiang Wan choked. How did he know he had classes? "After class, come meet me at the Westgate parking lot." He leaned slightly towards her and said in a tone that only she could hear, "Otherwise, I will expose your lies." Jiang Wan glared at him, "I have something on you too." He smiled faintly, "What handle?" "You were doing duck in the club." As soon as he finished speaking, the man narrowed his eyes slightly. "Will they believe you?" Jiang Wan. He is a PhD introduced by the Center for Astrophysics Research and a professor appointed by the Department of Astronomy of the Imperial University. This identity must be true. Scientific research talents are highly valued by the country. After all, many of them have gone overseas to develop. How could the Imperial University not cherish Lu Yangzhu if he was willing to return to China? With this gilded identity, even if she really revealed that he worked part-time as a gigolo at the Nightingale Club, they would just think she was talking nonsense. The man took a step closer to her, leaned forward slightly, and brushed shoulders with her. "I'll wait for you." He walked away, picked up the phone and put it to his ear. "How's the investigation going?" Third Master, that photo was uploaded by a female student named Chen Feishue from the finance department. After class, Jiang Wan avoided the crowd and walked towards the Westgate parking lot, muttering to herself as she walked. "Still a professor. Clearly a beast. It's her bad luck to have him." She was startled by the sound of a car horn behind her. A Bentley parked behind her, the driver's window slowly lowered, and the man's impeccable face was fully revealed to her. "Get in the car." She stared at the car logo and couldn't help but touch it. She said, "A duck can still be worthy of a Bentley these days." Lu Yangzhu paused for a few seconds and said indifferently, "Rented. How much is it per day?" "Money?" Lu Yangzhu frowned. He was stumped for the first time. After all, he had no idea about money. He just casually said a number, 5,000. Jiang Wan. "Forget it, 500 yuan is too expensive and I can't afford it. Professor Yang, I should go back." The man looked at her and said, "I'll take you there." Jiang Wan was confused. He gave it to her. Was that a joke? "That's not good, you're a married man." The man looked straight ahead. "Don't you have a husband too?" Jiang Wan choked, and a look of surprise flashed across her eyes. "She never said from the beginning to the end that she was married." "How do you know?" He looked away. "You said that night." Jiang Wan was speechless, vaguely remembering that she had indeed said the word divorce that night. "You don't allow me to send it. Are you afraid that your husband will know?" Jiang Wan was speechless and simply got into the car. There was a faint scent of cedar wood in his car, just like him, fresh and pleasant. "Professor Yang, why are you a male model part-time?" She felt that this was a bit abrupt, so she immediately added, "I don't look down on your profession, I'm just curious." Lu Yangzhu said lightly, "I'm short of money." This reason cannot be refuted. But thinking about it carefully, it didn't seem right. "Aren't you a scientific researcher? Besides, your part-time job pays well. You can't be short of money, right? After all, he must be very popular in the eyes of rich women. You can rent a Bentley now." He held his forehead lazily, his fingertips tapping on the steering wheel. "I have to support my family." Chapter 11. What a coincidence, his wife also cheated on him. "Does your wife know that you have this part-time job?" He fixed his eyes on her face, and said meaningfully, "Does your husband not know that you're spending the night with a man?" Jiang Wan gritted her teeth. "So what if he knows? He and I are in a marriage of convenience, and I'm planning on getting a divorce." When the word divorce was mentioned, a trace of coldness and indescribable depth appeared in the man's eyes. "You want a divorce so much?" She said confidently, "I didn't marry him voluntarily. Besides, I haven't even met him. Can't I get a divorce?" Lu Yangzhu was silent for a long while, then laughed. "What a coincidence, I'm also in a marriage of convenience." A marriage of convenience is a marriage in form, which is similar to each person having their own fun and living their own life. They are legally married and do not disturb each other. Jiang Wan was surprised that his wife was willing to have a marriage of convenience with such a handsome man. Then your wife. She's seeing another man behind my back. Having such a handsome husband and still cheating. Are you blind? Lu Yanzhou leaned towards her. She cheated on me and is asking for a divorce. What do you think I should do? The man's sudden approach made her shrink her neck involuntarily. The space became increasingly cramped. The enlarged handsome face seemed to be able to captivate people and tempt them to commit a crime. She suddenly closed her eyes and shrilled, Professor Yang, please respect yourself. Click sound. Open your eyes again. The seatbelt was fastened securely around her. The man straightened his body as if nothing had happened and drove away. Jiang Wan was embarrassed by herself. Where do you live? Dongju District, Lu Mansion. Lu Yanzhou glanced at the rearview mirror and turned around. Is your husband from the Lu family? Jiang Wan's heart skipped a beat. Do you know him? He said slowly, as if he was talking about someone else, I've heard of it. Jiang Wan approached mysteriously, then you've heard that he is unlucky in marriage, right? His brows were knitted together, his eyes were barren, and he was very secretive. Do you believe in these things? So she was afraid that she would be killed by him, so she created scandals in various ways to stay away from him. Thought she was so funny. I guess she is just a superficial and vulgar woman. I don't believe it. She held her forehead with one hand. I never believe in fate. Master once said that no life in this world can be defined as a lowly life. Birth is determined by heaven, but destiny is in our own hands. Besides, the death of one fiancé might be an accident, the death of two might be a coincidence, but the death of four is not a coincidence. There must be something fishy. Maybe she was played to death by an old man. Lu Yanzhou glanced at her and guessed that she must have been thinking about something unrealistic again. Maybe in her heart, her husband is really a monster. If she knew the truth. It's interesting to think about it. The car arrived outside the gate of Lu Mansion. Jiang Wan immediately pushed the door and got out of the car without any reluctance. The man called out to her, wait. She turned back, what? At a contact number. Jiang Wan took out her cell phone hesitantly and scanned his WeChat ID. The avatar is a pyramid. Nickname, LYZ. The friend circle is not open. It's obviously a small one. Goodbye, I won't see you off. Jiang Wan turned around and left. Lu Yanzhou watched her run into the yard and answered Mr. Lu's call. Have you seen your wife? He raised his eyelids slightly. I saw it. How does it feel? How about? He placed his fingers on his chin, and his mind flashed back to her that night when she was enjoying herself under him. Her charming, innocent, tearful and charming appearance was captured in his eyes. Chapter 12, The Antique Circle Boss Guan Yi. After a moment of silence, he spoke, not bad. Mr. Lu was stunned. It seemed that it was rare for him to hear a satisfied tone from his youngest son. He snorted, then don't you see who picked the wife for you? Anyway, you are not allowed to divorce her without permission. Get along well with her. If you dare to divorce her, don't come back to this family. The old man hung up the phone. Lu Yanzhou didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The old man had no idea that his beloved daughter-in-law was always trying to find ways to cheat on his son. Lu Yanzhou drove away. At this moment, this scene was photographed by someone hiding not far away, who sent the photo of Jiang Wan getting out of the Bentley to Jiang Qing. Jiang Qing had just finished washing her hair. When she came out and saw this photo, the corners of her mouth curled up. This bitch really cheated. At night, Jiang Wan came out of the bathroom after taking a shower and received a call from Yanzhou. Little ancestor, there is a good item in the store, do you want to come? In the antique circle, first look goods are the same as what antique shops call first-time goods. They are genuine goods that have been treasured for a long time. It is a term between sellers and buyers. What kind of goods? Lao Wu chuckled, Song Dynasty green glazed three-legged toad. The distinguished guest is still waiting for a reply. Little ancestor, come here quickly. Right away. Jiang Wan hung up the phone, quickly changed her clothes, and went to the balcony. The Lu Mansion has a curfew at night, so normally she would not go out through the main gate, but climb over the wall. This has been the case for the past 3 years. She knows exactly where there are surveillance cameras and where there are no surveillance cameras. Jiang Wan took a taxi to Jinyuan. Jinyuan is the largest antique trading market in Beijing, and most of the dignitaries in the antique circle gather here. The streets are full of age and ancient charm, with everything from large shops to small roadside stalls. Even after 8 p.m., it's still lively. She had no mood to go shopping and went straight to the back door of the treasure pavilion. Inside the treasure pavilion, a short, plump, middle-aged customer was sitting in the VIP room sipping tea. The young man sitting opposite was dressed in plain cotton and linen clothes, wearing a valuable necklace of heavenly eye beads, with a shiny head and a handsome face. Inexplicably, he had the air of a monk who was otherworldly. Manager and the customer put down his teacup. I said it's been half an hour. How long do you want me to wait? If you really don't want to pay this price, I'll go to Yanzhou. There is a saying circulating in the antique trading market. There are hundreds of treasures in the south and thousands of gold in the north. Both are the largest auction houses in Jinyuan and can be considered competitors. Baibao Pavilion is more like a Jiangnan elegant building, with delicate decoration and elegance, while Tianjin building is more like the style of the last century, magnificent, more imposing and heroic. When Enlawu heard this, he smiled and said, "No, Mr. Wang, the price is negotiable. Our boss will be here soon." As soon as he finished speaking, the door of the box was pushed open. Several people looked over when they heard the sound. The young man who pushed the door and entered the box was wearing a casual suit, had a thin figure, and looked as pretty and fair as a girl. He looked young and full of energy. Mr. Wang was puzzled. "Who are you?" And Lao introduced, "Boss Wang, this is the boss of our Baibao Pavilion." "What?" Mr. Wang was surprised. The boss of Baibao Pavilion is actually such a young guy. Jiang Wan spoke in a hoarse voice and handed over the card. "Mr. Wang, nice to meet you. My last name is Guan, and this is my business card." Mr. Wang took it and found out that it was indeed the boss of Baibao Pavilion. But the name, Guansha. Weird enough. The treasure appraiser beside him was shocked when he saw the name. "You are actually that famous official." Chapter 13 Treasure Appraisal. Mr. Wang shuddered. "An official?" The treasure appraiser hurriedly explained, "Guan Yi is a title. In our antique circle, there is a master named Guan, who has a sharp eye and a golden vision. It is said that he has never made a mistake in appraising treasures. He can tell the origin and quality of the treasure by just touching it, so everyone in our circle respectfully calls him Guan Yi, but no one has ever seen him. When I saw him today, I really didn't expect that he is so young." His expression was also quite shocked. Their official master, who was so legendary in the antique collection circle, turned out to be a young man. After all, in everyone's impression, he must be at least 67 years old. Jiang Wan clenched her hand into a fist, put it to her lips and coughed. "Senior, thank you for your praise." "Oh, how dare I call myself a senior in front of you, sir?" Mr. Wang naturally believed the appraiser's words. His attitude changed and he took the initiative to stand up, greet him and shake hands. After taking a seat, Jiang Wan looked at him and said, "Boss Wang, I heard you have a good product." Yes, here it is." Mr. Wang opened the yellow brocade bag and what came into view was a green glazed, three-legged toed ceramic. Jiang Wan put on gloves, picked up the ceramic, weighed it and pondered it. Seeing Jiang Wan frowned, the appraiser was stunned. "Sir, what did you find wrong? This is an egg-laying product." "What?" The appraiser immediately picked it up and examined it. "Is this a replica of a new one? The glaze of Song Dynasty ceramics is as smooth as a mirror, without obvious bubbles or tears. You can't tell from the glaze of this item. Although the shape of this vessel is stable and beautiful, if you look closely, you can see some inharmonious parts, which means that this part is a replica." Jiang Wan sighed and shook her head in a formal manner. "What a pity." Mr. Wang turned around and glared at the appraiser. "How come you didn't see that?" I. The appraiser was speechless at this moment. "I can only say that my skills are not strong enough." Misjudged. Jiang Wan poured a cup of tea slowly and gave the appraiser a way out. You can't blame him. After all, the broken piece is real. If you just look at the glaze, it's easy to make a mistake. The appraiser nodded repeatedly. Yes, it was my negligence. I was blinded by the broken pieces." Mr. Wang sighed repeatedly. "I thought I bought a treasure, but it turned out to be a replica." What bad luck? It's my bad luck. In this case, you can decide the price. She held up 5 fingers, 500,000. Mr. Wang hesitated for a moment, then gritted his teeth and agreed. After they left, Jiang Wan took off her wig, picked up the 3-legged toad ceramic in her hand, and grinned. And Lao Wu sent them away and returned to the private room. Little ancestor, what do you think of buying a replica for 500,000 yuan? Whether a replica is valuable or not depends on how realistic it is. This broken piece is genuine, but it's a pity that the replica is not perfect. If our replica is better than it, we can sell it for 1 million. We can make a profit of 500,000, which is not a loss. And Lao Wu suddenly realized and said, I see. When it comes to taking advantage, no one can beat you. Did that old man divorce you? No, but you are right. Mr. Liu is not a normal person. He is a pervert. I seriously suspect that his 3 dead fiancées were all killed by him. Second brother once said that the more powerful a person is, the more extravagant he is. Mr. Liu Sanya must be one of this category. And Lao Wu poured a cup of tea and said, by the way, I heard that the big boss of Jinyuan has returned to China. Jiang Wan adjusted her wig and raised her head when she heard it. Boss Jinyuan. She knew that the land in Jinyuan was privately owned and had been bought by a mysterious wealthy man in the early years. Many antique shops in the market, including Baibao Pavilion, rented land from other people's owners. And Lao Wu nodded, Tianjinlu's business is more prosperous than ours, and it has the support of a big boss. After all, he is Jin Yuan's son. Our shops are all from outside. But this big boss is mysterious enough, and no one has ever seen him. It doesn't matter. We should stay out of his way and just do our business. Jiang Wan went out, stopped in the corridor, turned back and stretched out her hand to him, give me 20 yuan for a taxi. And Lao Wu twitched his lips and said, no, you have so much money in your account, you are just laying eggs. Do I look like someone who carries money with him? Then how did you get here? She said seriously, I just brought the fare for coming here. And Lao Wu took out his wallet and stuffed 20 yuan into her hand, remember to reimburse me. At 11 o'clock in the evening, Jiang Wan climbed over the wall into the courtyard of Lu Mansion, landed steadily, clapped her hands, and a flashlight shone towards her. She subconsciously raised her hand to cover it. Madam. The patrolling bodyguard looked at her in surprise. Jiang Wan forced a smile awkwardly. Not long after, Butler Chen came out to take her into the house and said anxiously, Madam, why did you run out again? The third master has returned to the country, please restrain yourself. Chapter 14 My little wife was bullied. After being scolded by Butler Chen, Jiang Wan cooperated throughout the whole process and had an expression that said she would never do it again next time, but the reality was that she would dare to do it again next time. Just as she was going upstairs, she suddenly stopped, turned around and asked, Uncle Chen, is the third master coming back? Butler Chen was stunned for a few seconds, this. I don't know either, what happened? It's okay. She waved her hand and went straight upstairs. Butler Chen was confused. Did she ask this because she hoped the third master would come back to live with her? That's true. After all, the third master has been abroad for these years, and she has been alone in the empty room, feeling lonely and empty, which is really not good. He can understand. Without saying anything, he picked up his phone and typed a text message, Third master, the madam misses you and wants to ask if you can come back to live with us. Here, Yanzhou was working in the study. The screen of his mobile phone lit up, and what caught his eye was the text message sent by the housekeeper. His hand holding the coffee paused, and the 5 words, Madam misses you, were reflected on the lenses of his gold-rimmed glasses. It stayed still for a long time. After a moment, he put down the cup and repeated 2 words. Jiang Wan had a makeup exam in the morning, so she had breakfast and rode her bike to the campus. Downstairs, a girl with bangs and glasses walked towards her timidly, Excuse me, are you classmate Jiang Wan? Jiang Wan stopped and looked at her, Yes. Someone asked you to go to the equipment room. Jiang Wan narrowed her eyes. If someone invites her out, she will definitely come on her own, but if someone invites her over, there must be something fishy going on. She inadvertently glanced at the bruise on the girl's wrist, looked away, and smiled, Take me there. The girl with bangs took her to the equipment room. When she was about to go in, she seemed to be afraid of something and didn't dare to say anything. After Jiang Wan entered the house, she found a spacious equipment room as big as a basketball court, filled with several bad girls with dyed hair who had already entered society. There is also Chen Feishue. She said to the gum-chewing woman in the lead, Sister Lan, she was the one who caused me to be suspended from school. Jiang Wan was stunned. Chen Feishue was suspended from school. Is it because of the forum? The woman saw Jiang Wan, stood up, and looked up. It's you. Jiang Wan ignored her. Chen Feishue, you brought people from outside the school in to cause trouble without permission. Aren't you afraid of being punished? So what? You're a country boy, can you really make me expel from school? Chen Feishue didn't care. Besides, even if we do something to you, no one will know, and she won't dare to tell anyone. She was referring to the girl with bangs standing not far behind her. The girl with bangs shrank back, kept her head down and dared not say much. Jiang Wan sneered, the majority bullies the minority, right? That's just bad luck for you. Sister Lan, you must help me teach her a lesson. Chen Feishue looked proud. The woman called Sister Lan spat out her chewing gum and signaled the other girls to take action. Seeing them surrounding her, Jiang Wan picked up a baseball bat and hit them. Seeing her fight back, Sister Lan rushed over and pulled her hair. Jiang Wan pulled her back and kicked another girl in the abdomen. Then she turned around and threw Sister Lan to the ground and they started fighting. The others rushed towards Jiang Wan to stop her. Jiang Wan grabbed Sister Lan's hair tightly and almost pulled it out to make her bald. Her scalp hurt and she struggled and screamed. The girl with bangs was frightened by the situation, took a few steps back, and then ran out. She ran straight to the teaching building and suddenly saw two figures. She only recognized one as a professor. Teacher Liang. The girl with bangs ran forward. Professor Liang, who was talking to Yanzhou, was stopped and turned around. Student, what's wrong? Student Jiang Wan from the archaeology department was bullied in the equipment room. Chapter 15 Her Wild Man. Yanzhou pushed the frame of his glasses with his fingertips and narrowed his eyes. Who are you talking about? Jiang Wan. Without waiting for Professor Liang to say anything, Yanzhou walked towards the equipment room. The equipment room is in chaos now. Jiang Wan caught Sister Lan and beat her up alone. After the other girls were also beaten up, they saw that she was very cruel and didn't dare to attack again. Seeing this, Chen Feishue's eyes suddenly fell on the baseball bat on the ground. She quickly picked up the baseball bat and rushed towards Jiang Wan. Before the stick fell, the door was pushed open. Jiang Wan rode on Sister Lan, stopped raising her hand and looked at the man outside the door. Professor Yang? Yanzhou frowned, why don't you come down? Jiang Wan stood up hurriedly, her hair disheveled, and stood aside obediently, regardless of her embarrassment. Chen Feishue was even more displeased when she saw someone disrupting the situation. Who are you? Oh Tilda, you are not Jiang Wan's lover, are you? I knew it, Jiang Wan, you are really a slut. You said you have a boyfriend, but in fact, it's just the rich guy you are hanging out with. Jiang Wan lowered her head and tried not to laugh. Say she is stupid, she is quite stupid. Professor Liang also walked in, what are you guys doing? When Chen Feishue saw the person, she quickly hid the baseball bat behind her and pointed it at Jiang Wan, teacher, it was her. She hit us. Professor Liang looked at Jiang Wan. Jiang Wan shook her head, looking pitiful, teacher, it wasn't me, they were the ones who beat me up. You're talking nonsense. You clearly beat us up. If you don't believe me, ask them. Chen Feishue signaled to the girls who took action with her eyes. Several girls nodded. Professor Liang was about to criticize him when Yanzhou stroked the dial of his watch with his fingertips and said indifferently, as I recall, it was you who wanted to take action just now, right? Chen Feishue said anxiously, teacher, don't believe him. He is her wild man, of course he will speak for her. Professor Liang was furious. Nonsense. This is Professor Yang. How dare you, a student, slander a teacher at our school? Chen Feishue's body shook. He turned out to be the professor who was almost going to teach in the finance department. Professor Yang, I'm really sorry, this group of students is really making trouble. Professor Liang's attitude towards Yanzhou was very polite, which was incredible. Yanzhou laughed, then stopped laughing for a moment, and remained silent. I just want to know, if a student who has been suspended commits another crime during this period, how should the school handle it? He said, if students who are under disciplinary action commit another offense and the suspension period is extended, they will be disqualified from taking the postgraduate entrance examination. Chen Feishue's face suddenly changed. Teacher. It's none of my business. They instigated me. When Sister Lan heard this, she turned hostile on the spot. Chen Feishue, you are the one who asked us to help you teach him a lesson. I. Chen Feishue completely collapsed to the ground. If her qualification for the postgraduate entrance examination is revoked, then all her efforts will be in vain. Her parents will beat her to death. Lu Yanzhou turned his gaze towards Jiang Wan and paused. Why aren't you coming over yet? Jiang Wan came back to her senses, said, oh, and walked to his side. He turned to look at Professor Liang. I'll leave them to you. I'll take this student to the school doctor to check his injuries first. Professor Liang came back to his senses and nodded. Oh, okay. At the school clinic, Jiang Wan took off her shirt and lay on the bed behind the curtain. The female doctor put the ice pack in her hand on some bruises on her back. The icy touch made her hiss. Just apply it for half an hour and it will be fine. The female school doctor got up and left. Jiang Wan was lying there, and seemed to feel that the position where she was standing was a little stiff due to the freezing of the ice pack. She raised her hand to try to pry it open and move to another position, but she couldn't reach it. Just then, the ice pack moved. She thought it was a doctor, smiled and turned back. Thank you. Chapter 16. It's dangerous to make such a sound in front of a man. Seeing Lu Yanzhou standing by the bed, she realized that she was only wearing underwear, so she pulled up the quilt and wrapped herself up. What are you doing? Get out. Lu Yanzhou ignored him, picked up the ice pack on the bed, and gestured, lie down. Yu Jiangwan's face turned red. He was too bold. You know me inside and out. Jiang Wan took a deep breath. He was hinting at what happened that night. She lay down with a gloomy expression, covering her chest tightly. Lu Yanzhou didn't have the leisure time to appreciate the beautiful spring scene before him, and he carefully applied the dressing to the bruises. His fingers accidentally touched her skin, and it felt like something was rippling in her heart, which was very strange. She bit her lip and broke the silence. How did you know I was in the equipment room? Someone has complained. She thought of the girl with bangs, and after a moment, she asked again, did you cause Chen Feishue to be suspended from school? After all, he is Professor Yang and he still has some say in Peking University. He hummed, how are you going to repay me? She smacked her lips. As a professor, you need students to repay you for saving your life. You are, be gentle Tilda. She cried out in pain. She had no idea that in this state, her voice was so seductive and sweet to the core. Lu Yanzhou stopped what he was doing, raised his eyelids and looked at her, his voice hoarse. What are you yelling about? Don't you know it's dangerous to make such a noise in front of a man? Jiang Wan buried her face in the pillow. Her corpse felt hard. Perhaps it was too quiet. Jiang Wan almost couldn't hold it in, but fortunately, his phone call interrupted the atmosphere. Lu Yanzhou went out to answer the call. Jiangjin said, Third Master, that guy named Guan has appeared. I didn't expect that he had been hiding in Jinyuan for the past 3 years and is the boss of Baibao Pavilion. Even people in the antique circle respectfully call him Guanya. But I have to say that the man surnamed Guan is also a capable person. He determines the authenticity of items by looking and touching, and he has never made a mistake. In the circle, any product he sells can be sold at the highest price. If he had not used tricks to steal the dowry of Third Master's mother, a night-shining pearl worth 1,000 gold, from a merchant from Country Y 3 years ago and then disappeared without a trace, he would have been chopped into pieces by Third Master and thrown into the river to feed the fish. Lu Yanzhou took off his glasses, his eyes were deep and unfathomable. Treasure Pavilion. That's right, but the people in the store said that he was hardly ever in the store, and the employees hadn't even seen him. This guy is really good at hiding. Send someone to continue to find out his whereabouts. Don't alert the enemy. After ending the call, he looked into the room. Jiang Wan poked her head out from behind the curtain to look at him, and when their eyes met, she looked back. Her sneaky look made him laugh. Why are you sneaking around like that? No. She put on her shirt and walked out properly. I'm going back to take the exam first. Also, let's pretend we don't know each other from now on. It's so embarrassing. Without waiting for Lu Yangzhu to speak, Jiang Wan ran faster than a rabbit as if her feet were greased. He put on his glasses and squinted his eyes. Do you want to get rid of him so soon? Pity. She will take the initiative. As she was 40 minutes late for the makeup exam, Jiang Wan failed her major course as expected. Xu Yi came to her seat and said, "You are the king of failing exams. Liu Xiu is not as good as you. You were late even though you knew there was an exam." She took out her homework and said, "It's not that I want to be late. It's Chen Feishue who asked someone to block me. By the way, Chen Feishue was suspended from school. Could it be that your rich second-generation boyfriend did something about it?" Chapter 17 Using his money to support a man. Jiang Wan smiled and said, "He is not some rich second generation. I just said that to scare them last time." Xu Yi didn't believe it. "Don't bluff me. If the school leaders can punish her, she must be a big shot. Also, tell me the truth, do you know Professor Yang?" "How could I possibly know Professor Yang?" "Oh, I remembered I have something else to do, so I have to leave first." Jiang Wan packed her backpack and hurriedly left the classroom without waiting for Xu Yi to ask any more questions. After returning to the Lu mansion, Jiang Wan had just entered the villa when she saw Butler Chen rushing downstairs, as if there was good news. "Lady." She stopped and wondered, "What's wrong?" "The third master said he would come back to sleep at night, so you should get ready quickly." Jiang Wan's expression was frozen and she almost collapsed. "The old man is coming back to sleep tonight. What should she prepare? Do I need to ask her to fulfill my husband and wife obligations?" Thinking of this, Jiang Wan ran upstairs. Butler Chen stood there in a daze, confused. Is madam too excited? Jiang Wan returned to the bedroom, locked the door, and paced back and forth in a state of anxiety. The old pervert has no intention of getting a divorce at the moment and wants to come back to sleep with him. No. For her safety, this marriage must be divorced quickly. She suddenly remembered someone and opened the man's chat box on WeChat. "Professor Yang, can you give me some first aid?" The message was sent less than a minute ago. The other party replied, "First aid for what?" Jiang Wan bit her lip, hesitated for a moment, and then went all out. "I'll give you money, and you play the role of my kept gigolo." 3 minutes later. The man replied with 2 words, "Okay." At 7 o'clock in the evening, after having dinner, Jiang Wan asked housekeeper Chen, "I want to go out and buy something, but I don't have that much money. How about you give me the third master's card? I'm his wife, so it's okay to swipe it, right?" Housekeeper Chen was also surprised. After all, she had not spent any of the third master's money in the 3 years since she got married. "I don't know why. I always feel hairy." But he had no reason to refuse. "Of course, no problem, but madam, what do you want to buy? I can report to the third master." She smiled brightly. "No need to bother you to inform me, I will tell the third master myself." Finally, Butler Chen handed her a secondary card, which was said to be left by the third master and had a limit of 50 million. She turned around and left the villa. The man was indeed punctual and was really waiting at a nearby intersection. The car window was half lowered and the evening breeze ruffled the collar of the man's shirt. The neon lights on the roadside were dimmed by his outline. Noble, aloof, and unrivaled in elegance and grace. Besides money, but also good looks. Seeing her take the initiative to get in the car, Lu Yangzhu was not surprised. He took off his glasses nonchalantly and wiped them with a lens cloth. "Aren't you staying at home with your husband?" Jiang Wan shook her head, "No." He turned his head and his eyes fell on the little girl's frightened face. "Are you so afraid of him?" Jiang Wan said truthfully, "He is old and a pervert. I am a beautiful girl and I cannot stand his torture." Lu Yangzhu. Old? He was only 30 years old. Although he has never cared about the rumors about himself, it has been rumored that he is almost half a century old. However, she couldn't stand his torture. That is true. She is soft and delicate, like tofu, and will cry if you pinch her. She handed him a secondary card casually. "This is my husband's card. You must keep it, it will be your maintenance fee from now on." Lu Yangzhu lowered his eyes, his gaze fixed on the black card with a limit, and his dark eyes sank imperceptibly. "Use his money to support a man? Don't worry, I won't make it public. You're short of money anyway, and your wife might even want to separate from you if she divorces you." How about we work together and each get what we want? Jiang Wan raised her eyebrows and smiled. She used the old pervert's money to support a man outside. Maybe the old pervert would be so mad that he would kick her out. Lu Yangzhou stared at her silently, and he could see the careful calculations on her face. You cheated on your husband, aren't you afraid that he will kick you out of the house? Jiang Wan stopped smiling and said seriously, I don't need his money, and I would love to leave the house with nothing. Lu Yangzhou narrowed his eyes, as if thinking about something. The Jiang family was willing to marry her to a man who was unlucky in marriage, which showed that she was not valued. A female college student who had not yet started her internship said that she was not short of money. And in these 3 years, she hasn't even touched the supplementary card he left behind. It's really interesting. The man approached her instantly, his breath was seductive, as if he was entangled with the taboo of that night. Where are you going to keep me? Jiang Wan swallowed and quickly looked away. I've already said that when we work together, I'm only responsible for paying your expenses, not accommodation. Lu Yangzhou wiped his glasses and put them back on, saying meaningfully, I've also made it clear that once the relationship is established, you won't have any room for regrets. Jiang Wan was puzzled. Is he afraid that she will play tricks on him? Anyway, it's just a nominal gigolo. She said cheerfully, deal. I turned around and took out the text message from their old man. Hubby, I'm using your money to support my gigolo, you don't mind, do you? The message has just been sent. In less than a few seconds, the man's cell phone dinged. The screen lights up. Chapter 18. He was old, but was coaxed by a little girl. Jiang Wan was stunned. At this time, he slowly raised his head. Lu Yangzhou picked up the phone calmly, glanced at it, and closed it. It's a marketing message. What's wrong? Fine. I was sweating profusely just now. I almost thought the message was sent to him. No, what was she thinking? This evil man doesn't look like an old man at all. He stroked his chin and pondered for a moment, then looked at him, Professor Yang. He leaned against the car window, holding his forehead with one hand, looking lazy and nonchalant. If you have something to say, tell me. Since our cooperation has been reached, I'll leave first. She winked. Lu Yangzhou tilted his head to look at her. Where are you going? Looking for a man. What man are you looking for? You are enough for me. It would be enough to just take care of him. He is enough. Lu Yangzhou didn't know whether to laugh or cry. At his age, he was actually coaxed by a little girl. The little girl got out of the car quickly. Lu Yangzhou put his fingers on his forehead and watched her leave through the rearview mirror. It seemed as if she had used him and kicked her away mercilessly. He retracted his gaze and called Jiangzhen, please check for me the source of Jiang Wan's funds in the past 3 years. There was no class the next day, so Jiang Wan slept until noon. When she went downstairs, she saw an old man about 70 years old sitting in the living room drinking tea. The old man was dressed in retro style, a light-colored Mao suit, and had a string of relics on his wrist. The servants and housekeeper Chen were waiting respectfully on one side. She almost lost her balance on the stairs. Could this old man be Mr. Lu Sanya? That's not right either. The old man of the Lu family is still alive. If the third Master Lu is this old, wouldn't he Mr. Lu be a 1,000-year-old bastard? Butler Chen said something beside the old woman, then suddenly raised his head and said with a smile, Madam, you are up. Jiang Wan gritted her teeth. No matter who he is it too late to run now? The old man raised his head. From his outline and bone structure, it was not difficult to tell that he was also an extremely handsome man when he was young. Even though his temples are gray and wrinkles appear on his face, he still has the scholarly air that he once did. He put down his teacup and asked, Are you Wanwan? Jiang Wan hesitated, You are. Madam, this is Mr. Lu. Jiang Wan's eyes instantly cleared up, and she walked forward with a smile, So you are Mr. Lu, you look really young, I didn't recognize you. Old Master Lu laughed heartily at her, You little girl, you are so sweet and you know how to coax people. No wonder the third brother is so satisfied with you. Just call me dad like the third brother. Jiang Wan's smile froze. What does it mean, Mr. Lu is satisfied with her? What satisfies her? She changed it. Come, sit down. Mr. Lu pointed to the seat beside him with a kind face. Jiang Wan walked forward obediently. When she got closer, she could smell a strong smell of Chinese medicine on him, a smell that most people could not smell. I know the third son doesn't come back often. That boy always says he's busy. I've wronged you for the past 3 years. Old Mr. Lu felt a headache when he mentioned his son. Jiang Wan came back to her senses and smiled without saying anything. When the third brother is free, I will let him accompany you. Don't. He was about to blurt out the words, but under the gaze of everyone, he changed his words abruptly. I mean, third master is focused on his career, I can understand, I'm not afraid of waiting. Just as Mr. Lu was about to say something, a servant came into the room and said, Madam, Master, there is a woman outside who claims to be Madam's sister and is clamoring to come in and see the third master. Jiang Wan frowned. What is she here for? Mr. Lu knew that the Jiang family had 2 daughters. Since they were relatives, he would not refuse. Let her in. Not long after, Jiang Qing entered the house behind the servant. Seeing Jiang Wan sitting next to an old man, a hint of calculated pride flashed in his eyes. Fortunately, I paid someone to keep an eye on the area near Lu Mansion. Not only did I find evidence that the wild man sent her back, I also finally got to see Mr. Lu Sanya. This is really old. Fortunately, the person he married was not her sister. Jiang Qing suddenly came forward enthusiastically, sat beside her, and pulled her arm. This is the third master, right? Why is he different from the man who sent you back last time? Chapter 19 by Lian Hua accuses her of cheating. Jiang Wan couldn't help but twitch the corner of his mouth, and guessed that she couldn't fart anymore, so he shook off her hand and shifted his gaze to Mr. Lu beside him. Being recognized as his own son, Mr. Lu's kind face had a complicated expression, but he remained calm. What man? Without waiting for Jiang Wan to answer, Jiang Qingshi couldn't help but take out a photo. This was taken by the paparazzi. Third master, take a look. Don't blame me, I was just confused. Fortunately, this photo was not exposed, so you and I can save our reputation. General Lu picked up the photo. Jiang Wan took a look and realized that this was the day when Professor Yang sent her back. Was actually photographed. Jiang Qing was secretly proud. All men mind being cuckolded. She didn't believe that Mr. Lu could let this little bitch live a good life. I guess after she leaves, she will severely punish Jiang Wan, right? Mr. Lu put the photo down calmly without saying anything. Jiang Wan lowered her eyes. It turned out that the affair was not a bad thing for her. With the old man in charge, they will probably be able to get divorced soon. Jiang Qing continued to exaggerate. Third master, please don't scold me. Maybe I didn't mean to cheat on you. Jiang Wan looked at her with gratitude, and then said, Mr. Lu, I really am. I know. Elder Lu raised his hand and interrupted her, without any anger on his face. One, if you are slandered, Dad will take care of it for you. A question mark flashed across Jiang Wan's head. Mr. Lu, Jiang Qing was stunned. You are not Mr. Lu San. Elder Lu looked fierce and intimidating. Nonsense. What do you want to say by bringing this photo to my house? To say that my daughter-in-law is cheating on you? I think the Jiang family has been too idle recently, and they even let you slander your sister. Jiang Qing stood up suddenly. I didn't slander you, my sister did cheat on me. That's enough. Old Master Lu turned around and told Butler Chen, contact Jiang Wendy and ask him to discipline the good daughter who slandered her sister for having an affair. Send her out immediately. She's an eyesore. I'm telling the truth, Mr. Lu. The bodyguard entered the room at this moment, ignored Jiang Qing's struggle, and dragged her out. Jiang Wan looked surprised. This plot doesn't seem right. Mr. Lu, do you believe me? Mr. Lu was pleased instead. Of course I believe it. Jiang Wan was speechless. Is there something wrong with the Lu family? Mr. Lu asked the servant to hand over a small box. Wan, this is a gift for you. The box is made of rosewood. When you open it, you will find a jade bracelet, which is pure, translucent, and has an excellent luster. She was surprised. Glass type. How is it? Do you like it? Mr. Lu narrowed his eyes and smiled. Jiang Wan nodded like a chick pecking at rice. This is worth a lot of money. As expected of a famous family, they are very generous. You are my real daddy. Jiang Wan grabbed Mr. Lu's left wrist and her fingertips rested on his pulse. The word daddy made old man Lu laugh so hard that he couldn't stop. I didn't expect that I would get such a good daughter for free in my lifetime. Jiang Wan withdrew her hand. Dad, I see you are in good health. Why are you taking such heavy Chinese medicine? Mr. Lu was stunned. How do you know I take Chinese medicine? I have a very sensitive nose, so I can smell it. He was amused. You little girl. After a moment, he said earnestly, as for me, I have been replenishing my body in recent years. After all, I don't want to die so soon. Jiang Wan lowered his eyelids. Although his overall pulse was stable, his deep pulse seemed weak, indicating that there was something wrong with his liver. It is human nature to be afraid of death, but using Chinese medicine as a skin care product to replenish the body is simply courting death. Could it be that he was cheated by some quack doctor? Daddy, who bought the Chinese medicine for you? Mr. Lu laughed. It's the second brother. What's wrong? Jiang Wan shook her head. You are already strong, so you don't need to take medicine to replenish your body. Medicine is poisonous. Even the mildest Chinese medicine can damage your liver. I suggest you exercise regularly, which will definitely prolong your life. Butler Chen was surprised to hear this. No one had ever dared to make such a suggestion to Mr. Lu. Besides, Mr. Lu had a private doctor and had regular physical examinations every year. Needless to say, I'm in good health. Mr. Lu saw that she was kind-hearted and gave her enough face. Okay, then I will exercise more when I go back and stop taking medicine. Butler Chen was shocked by Mr. Lu's cooperation. It was obvious that Mr. Lu was very satisfied with his daughter-in-law. Pink. She stretched out her little finger. Mr. Lu was stunned, then smiled and made a pinky promise with her. She said, a liar is a puppy. Finally, Butler Chen saw Mr. Lu out. Mr. Lu was in a good mood. He got into the car and looked at Butler Chen. Has that girl never seen the third brother? Butler Chen nodded, yes. I understand. Mr. Lu closed the car door. The driver drove away, and on the way, he received a call from Lu Yanzhou. Lu Yanzhou was also driving and connected the call to the Bluetooth headset. Did you go to the Lu mansion? You are busy and don't have time to bring my daughter-in-law to see me. If I want to see her, can't you come and see her in person? Lu Yanzhou narrowed his eyes slightly. You are in a good mood. He said happily, you kid, didn't you tell Wanwan your identity? Lu Yanzhou said calmly, no. Someone from the Qin family came over today and brought a photo of you and Wanwan to tell me that Wanwan had cheated on me. I guess that Wanwan didn't know your identity. What tricks are you playing, hiding it from your wife? Lu Yanzhou frowned, then smiled faintly. Your daughter-in-law did cheat on her, but the person she cheated on was me. After hanging up the phone, the smile in his eyes faded, and he called Jiangzhen, put all of Jiang's recent projects on hold. Chapter 20. Threaten her? Jiang Wendy received a call from the Lu family about suppressing the Jiang family. His expression suddenly changed. He had never been angry with Jiang Qing before, but at this moment, he couldn't help but said, you are crazy. How dare you go to Mr. Lu and tell him about her cheating? Mrs. Jiang heard the noise and rushed out to protect him. Husband, please speak properly, why are you yelling? The more Jiang Qing thought about it, the more aggrieved she felt. I just told the truth. Jiang Wan did cheat on me. It was Mr. Lu who didn't believe me. She pushed Mrs. Jiang away and ran upstairs crying. Madame Jiang looked at her husband with a gloomy face and walked up to him. What happened is not Qingqing's fault. Why are you angry with her? If the Lu family suppresses the Jiang family, it will cause us great losses. Isn't there still Jiang Wan? Jiang Wendy moved his masseter muscles, and then he sat down on the sofa with a fart, feeling a fire in his chest that he had no place to vent. Madame Jiang walked behind him and massaged his shoulders. Husband, look at the attitudes of Third Master and Mr. Lu. They really care about Jiang Wan. So what if we care about her? That girl didn't grow up under our care, and she's so vulgar. If Mr. Lu finds out that we've given such a disaster to the Third Master, our Jiang family will be finished. Jiang Wendy had to worry. Although he is my biological child, I did not raise him after all. If she hadn't been obedient and holding on to her master's relics, there's no telling what kind of trouble she could have caused. Now I think what the master said is true. She was born to be their nemesis. At the very least, the family will be separated. In serious cases, the family may be broken up and even the whole family may die. Ever since they brought her back to the imperial capital 3 years ago and married her to Mr. Lu Sanya, the Jiang family has not had peace in the past 3 years. Sooner or later, you will be harmed by this evil star. Mrs. Jiang saw that he was frowning and smiled. What are you afraid of? She is lucky enough not to be killed. She left a descendant for the third master. Old Master Lu is grateful to her. When young Master Lu comes back, let Qingqing get engaged to young Master Lu. Even if the Lu family knows the truth, they can't change the person, right? As for Jiang, her master's relics are in our hands. Won't she be obedient? Jiang Wendy heard this, and the gloom in his heart was swept away. He held Mrs. Jiang's hand and said, "My wife is so smart. I really married a good wife." Madame Jiang also laughed. "Okay, go and comfort Qingqing. After all, this child didn't do it on purpose. Okay, I'll go apologize to her." Jiang Wendy was happy and willing to give this opportunity. After Jiang Wan returned to school to take the makeup exam, she received a call from her scumbag father as soon as she came out of school. Wan, I know what your sister did. She already knows she was wrong. Don't bother with her anymore. Be obedient and tell the third master that Jiang's cannot lose those cooperations. No wonder the tone and attitude have changed. It turned out that he had something to ask of her. Jiang Wan raised her eyebrows. "Okay, but you have to return master's relics to me first." "What do you mean?" She pretended to be mysterious. "I've been dreaming about master recently. Master blames me. What if I talk in my sleep while lying next to Master-san at night and Master-san knows that I'm not his wife? He will be angry tilde." Jiang Wendy said angrily, "Are you threatening me?" Jiang Wan suppressed her smile. "How dare I? Anyway, master's relics are worthless, and there's no point in keeping them. Don't you think it's unlucky to keep the things of a dead person? You'd better give them to me as soon as possible. Don't worry, as long as I get master's relics, I will find Master-san immediately." Even through the phone call, she could feel her scumbag father's anger. "Do you want to threaten her with the relic and get something out of her?" "Oh, there is only one thing, there can never be another." He gritted his teeth and said, "Okay. But first you have to let the third master lift the suppression on the Jiang family." Jiang Wan's eyes darkened. What an old fox. If I hadn't seen master's relics, I wouldn't have come to tell the third master. Go find it yourself. She decisively hung up the phone and walked to the west gate outside the school to take a taxi. Suddenly, she received a photo on her phone. An agarwood box, it is the master's relic. The message under the photo reads, "If the Jiang family suppression is not lifted today, forget about your master's relics." Chapter 21. I'm here to see Mr. Lu. Jiang Wan's face suddenly darkened. She put away her phone, hailed a taxi and rushed to Lu's building. People were coming and going in the Lu's lobby. Men were in suits and carrying briefcases, while women were in black skirts, high heels, stockings, and big wavy hair, looking like mature and intellectual working women. Jiang Wan stepped into the living room, wearing a light lotus-colored sweatshirt, cropped trousers, canvas shoes, and a high ponytail. She looked out of place among this group of elites. The front desk clerk looked up after finishing her work and saw a cute and pretty little girl walking in, looking around. "Little girl, how can I help you?" "I'm looking for Master Lu-san." The front desk clerk's smile froze, looking a little embarrassed. "Do you have an appointment?" She shook her head. "No, please tell me which floor he is on and I'll go up and look for him myself." The front desk clerk was in a dilemma. Upon hearing this, a female employee wearing heavy makeup walked up to Jiang Wan and looked at her with a strange look in her eyes. "Little sister, are you looking for our president?" Jiang Wan looked at her. "He comes with ill intentions." The other party laughed and said sarcastically, "You are still a student. You don't want to learn the good things, but you want to learn from those women outside who are looking for rich men. Our president is not someone that anyone can meet." She had worked in the company for so many years, but she had never even met Mr. Lu. A female student came in and called out to Mr. Lu. It seemed that she was just a little girl who was still wet behind the ears, naive, and wanted to find a rich man. Jiang Wan was not in a good mood to begin with and did not want to pick a fight, but someone just happened to run into her. "Auntie, do you have bad breath?" The woman's expression changed slightly. "What did you say?" Jiang Wan covered her nose and said, "I said you have bad breath." How many years have you not brushed your teeth? Don't you know that you stink? The front desk clerk couldn't help laughing. This smile completely angered the woman. What's so funny? Do you think that Lou's company can let anyone in? Hurry up and get the security to kick her out. Otherwise, if the president holds you accountable, you won't be able to bear the consequences. Faced with the woman's arrogant attitude, the front desk clerk was unhappy but dared not say anything. Jiang Wan glanced at the work badge on the woman's chest. It turned out to be the lobby director. She sneered, the Lu group expelled guests without any reason. People who don't know would think that Lu's is your family. You are just a lobby director, where do you get the face? Silly girl, I think you are just looking for trouble. The woman stretched out her hand and tried to pull Jiang Wan. Jiang Wan took a step back, and the other person, wearing high heels, missed her and lost her balance, falling to the ground. Seeing her fall in a dog-eating shit position, Jiang Wan held back her laughter and said innocently, "Oh, they all saw it. I didn't touch you. You fell on your own. You? Why is there so much noise during working hours? Is this appropriate?" A middle-aged man walked over and scolded the chaos here. Seeing this, the woman stood up aggrievedly and ran straight to the man's side, wanting to cry but without tears. "Manager Mar, this little bitch is here to make trouble. I just asked her to leave, but she still talked back and cursed." Manager Mar looked at Jiang Wan for a few times and believed what the woman said. Lu's company is not a place where anyone can act wildly. Where is the security? Get them out quickly. If the third master sees you, you won't have to stay here. Soon, 2 security guards came to the lobby. The woman pointed at Jiang Wan, "That's her." The security guard stepped forward and held her arm. "The force is enormous." A voice came from not far away, "What's going on?" Chapter 22 Is that her husband? Jiang Wan looked over when she heard the voice. It's the old man's secretary, Jiangjin. Manager Mar nodded and smiled. "Secretary Jiang, this woman is causing trouble, we are asking her to leave." "Yes, Secretary Jiang, this little girl came and said she was looking for the third master, but she couldn't produce the receipt for the appointment. It's obvious that she is here to cause trouble." The woman tried her best to agree. Jiangjin nodded. "You can leave now." The woman turned around proudly and looked at Jiang Wan. "Did you hear that? You can leave now. I'm talking about you." The woman froze and looked at Jiangjin in disbelief. "Secretary Jiang, are you mistaken? You also know that this is Lu's. When will it be your turn to make the decisions? Third master hates people who think they are smart. You can go to the finance department to collect your salary." The implication was that she was fired. The woman's steps staggered and she stood there in a daze. She herself probably didn't know how she was fired. Jiangjin walked past Manager Mar and said, "If you do this again, you won't be able to hold the position of lobby manager anymore." Manager Mar's expression suddenly changed, and he apologized repeatedly. "Sorry, I will pay more attention next time." The front desk clerk watched this scene and couldn't help but break into a cold sweat. Does this little girl really know the third master? Luckily I didn't make things difficult for her. Jiang Wan greeted him with a smile on her face. "Secretary Jiang, is the third master here?" Jiangjin's attitude was average. "Third master is not here. Do you have something to talk to him about?" He really didn't want to recognize this, Mrs. Lu. "I really don't understand, since Mr. Sun doesn't believe in fate, why doesn't he divorce this fickle, good-for-nothing idiot woman? I hope we can find out whether the Jiang family is cheating, so that the third master can divorce her." Jiang Wan saw that this secretary really hated her, so she stopped beating around the bush and asked, "When will the third master come back? I really have something to talk to him about." "Have no idea." She frowned and lost her patience. "Aren't you his secretary? How could you not know?" Jiangjin glanced at his phone. "He has to tell me where the third master is. If he doesn't tell me, I won't know." "Don't you have his phone number? Ask him yourself." He turned away, as if afraid that she would pester him. Jiang Wan laughed angrily. "What kind of attitude do the people in the Lu family have? It's like I'm having my period." She took out her cell phone and sent a message to the old man. A few minutes later, the old man finally replied, "Go to the front desk to get your card and swipe the elevator to the top floor." Jiang Wan went to the front desk to get the executive elevator card. Considering what had just happened, The front desk clerk gave it to her without hesitation. She took the elevator to the top floor of the building, which was an independent private office floor with a conference room area, lounge, and office area. The corridor is designed with floor-to-ceiling windows, from which you can overlook the scenery of the entire city center. Just standing there, you can feel the loneliness of being up high. She turned a corner and walked to the meeting room area. There is movement. I saw a transparent glass door ajar, and the huge glass window had its blinds drawn. I couldn't see anyone else inside, and I could only vaguely see the scene in the conference room. Suddenly, she caught a glimpse of a figure. A middle-aged man in his 50s. He had a bald head, very little hair, and a bulging belly as he stood in front of the PPT screen and gave a speech. There was a burst of applause from the room. The plan drawn up by the third master is really good. Jiang Wan took a breath of cold air. People are about to fall apart. Is this her husband? Chapter 23. Move out and live with me. Jiang Wan retreated and accidentally bumped into someone with her back. The man put his arm around her waist. Soft, like boneless. She turned around and saw the man's face clearly. She was startled at first, with a look of astonishment. Yang. Professor Yang? He hummed, what a coincidence, you're here to see your husband. She remembered the important things, broke away from the man's arms, and pulled the man's arm behind the wall. Yanzhou let her do what she wanted. She stuck her head out and looked towards the conference room. I'm here to talk to the old man. After saying that, she turned back to look at him with a suspicious look on her face. Why are you here? He smiled faintly, guess. Jiang Wan looked at him and thought for a moment. You, don't tell me that you also work part-time at Foo's. He didn't answer. Jiang Wan took it as his consent. How many part-time jobs does this man have? Thinking of something, she frowned. Are you and him in the same group? I'm just an employee, and he's the boss. Yanzhou was very interested. I cheated on my boss's wife, can we still be in the same group? Someone in the conference room opened the door. Jiang Wan was so scared that she hid in his arms. Jiangjun was surprised to see the figure in his arms. Yanzhou raised his head, his eyes met Jiangjun's, and he gestured to keep quiet. Jiangjun understood immediately and retreated silently. Jiang Wan poked her head out, no one saw it, right? He squeezed out a hum from his throat, and his smile deepened. Don't you want your husband to know? What are you afraid of? I'm not afraid, but you are. Jiang Wan said confidently, my husband is your boss. If I'm caught having an affair in his company and you lose your job, I'll feel guilty. He said nothing. When she cheated on me, I never saw her feel guilty. Jiang Wan tugged at his sleeve, can you do me a favor? He hummed, say. Please tell the third master not to worry about Jiang's affairs. She also needs to get her master's belongings back. He loosened his tie, if I help you, how will you repay me? She choked, I'm your financial sponsor. 50 million is another story. He took a step closer, covering her figure with a virtual and real shadow, leaning towards her, her helpless and charming face reflected in his glasses. After all, if you want a divorce, don't you still need me? You? She pointed at him, don't threaten me. It will be the same if I find another man. He brushed aside her finger, besides me, who in the capital dares to cheat on him? These words completely choked her. If it were someone else, knowing that her husband was Mr. Lusanya, they would have been scared away long ago. She tutted, so what do you want? Move out and live with me. Jiang Wan was stunned. What did you say? I heard that the third master will return to the Lu mansion in the next few days. You know, a man whose four fiancés have died is not a good person. You will suffer. Yanzhou leaned lazily against the wall. His innate temperament and manners were something that no one else could imitate. If you are too upright, you will look stiff and dignified. If you are too lazy, you will look sloppy and unproud. It is not an exaggeration to describe him as a noble young man from Great Xia, with an air as great as that of Kanwa. Jiang Wan came back to his senses, looked sideways towards the conference room, hesitated for a moment, frowned, don't forget that you have a wife. He was silent for a few seconds, I'm going through the formalities. She was surprised that they were actually getting a divorce. Such a wicked man, really willing to. Thinking about how she was forced to marry an old man and how she was worried about being abused by him, she wanted to divorce. On the contrary, other wives picked up handsome husbands but were so blind as to abandon them. It's really infuriating to compare yourself to others. Just help first. Jiang Wan fled away. Yanzhou couldn't help laughing. This was the first time in his life that he had arranged himself like this. Chapter 24, Falling Out with the Jiang Family. Jiang Wan's cheeks flushed, and she quickly got out of his reach. Help me first, and we'll talk later. She ran away without looking back. Yanzhou couldn't help laughing. This was the first time in his life that he had arranged himself like this. Jiang Jin walked out of the meeting room and didn't see Jiang Wan, so he stepped forward and said, "Third Master, the board of directors has adopted the plan you mentioned." Yanzhou suppressed his smile and glanced at him with a deep gaze. "Did you deliberately let her wait downstairs just now?" Jiang Jin was stunned. He did it on purpose. There was nothing to hide about it. "Third Master, I really don't understand. Didn't you return to China just to deal with your marriage?" Yanzhou loosened his tie. His primary purpose of returning to China was indeed to deal with this binding marriage, but he changed his mind. "Have you found out the source of her funds for the past 3 years?" Jiang Jin shook his head. "No. The Jiang family never gave her living expenses. There is only 100 yuan balance in her student card, and nothing has been deposited into her account in the past 3 years." Jiang Jin's opinion of Jiang Wan has changed a little except on the issue of money. After all, if she was really after the Lu family's money, she would have squandered it extravagantly in the past 3 years relying on her status as their third wife. Of course, that's all. In his opinion, Jiang Wan, this fool, was indeed not worthy of the third master, but he vaguely realized that the third master seemed to be interested in that fool. Yanzhou hummed, "Remove the sanctions against Jiang. But you didn't just start this morning. Give the little girl some face." Yanzhou stepped into the meeting room. Yanzhou's efficiency was indeed very fast. She received the message while she was still in the car. When Jiang Wan arrived at the Jiang family's house, only Mrs. Jiang and Jiang Qing were in the living room, and Jiang Wendy was nowhere to be seen. Jiang Qing was sitting aside painting her nails, chatting and laughing with Mrs. Jiang. She walked over and asked, "Where are my master's relics?" "Sister, Dad said that if you still want your master's relics, you should quickly tell the third master to lift the suppression on the Jiang family." Madame Jiang glanced at her with a bad attitude. "Don't forget, your last name is Jiang. You've only been married to the third master for a few years, but you've already become a traitor. Are the things of a dead person more important than the Jiang family? Dead man's stuff." Jiang Wan suddenly laughed, but thought of their master's belongings still in their hands, so she endured it. "It's unlucky for you to keep my personal stuff, why don't you give it to me?" Mrs. Jiang called the servant to go into their house to get something. After a while, the servant brought the box downstairs and handed it to Mrs. Jiang. She wanted to take it, but Jiang Qing snatched it away. "Sister, it's just a broken box. Is it necessary to hurt Mom and Dad's feelings like this? Mom and Dad are the ones who gave birth to you. What does your country master mean to you?" Jiang Wan stared at the box and spoke word by word, "Give it back to me." Jiang Qing originally wanted to see her beg for mercy, but she didn't expect her to be fooled. Thinking of this, Jiang Qing picked up the box and smashed it to the ground. The box fell heavily to the ground, the lid separated from the box, and the objects inside fell out. "It's a safety lock. The chain is broken." Seeing this, Jiang Qing disagreed. "It's not a valuable thing, why do you treat it as a treasure?" Jiang Wan quickly walked towards her and kicked her hard in the abdomen. She was caught off guard and fell backwards. Mrs. Jiang didn't even come to her senses before she saw her and the tea set fall to the ground, with glass shards piercing her palms. She looked at Jiang Wan in disbelief and cried out in pain, "Jiang Wan, you dare to kick me? Jiang Wan, are you crazy?" Madame Jiang came to her senses and scolded, "She is your sister, how dare you touch her? This is simply outrageous." Madame Jiang raised her hand to hit her and teach her a lesson, but Jiang Wan intercepted her hand and pushed it away. "Do you think you can hit me a second time?" Mrs. Jiang fell down on the sofa and looked at her in disbelief. Her eyes were cold and cruel, a look she had never seen in the 3 years she had been in the Jiang family. Chapter 25, Breaking Off Relations. I'd love to. Seeing this, Jiang Qing stood up despite the pain and shouted, Jiang Wan. How could you hit my mother? I don't have parents. If you force me into a corner, I will kill all of you. Jiang Wan kicked the table, causing it to shake. The noise attracted the servants in the house. Madame Jiang was completely frightened and stood there in a daze. Jiang Qing had never expected that the usually obedient and stupid bumpkin would be so terrifying when he got angry. Jiang Wendy, who heard the noise upstairs, could no longer sit still and went downstairs. You bastard, you are such a traitor that you even dared to hit your mother. Jiang Wan raised her eyelids. She was too lazy to pretend because they had touched her bottom line. I have asked Mr. Lu San to lift the suppression on the Jiang family, but why did Jiang Qing touch my master's relics? You don't really think I can let you get the upper hand from me, do you? Jiang Wendy was angry. Don't think that you can do whatever you want just because you married Mr. Lu San. This evil is indeed impossible to raise. The wings are hard. Jiang Wan sneered, yes, since I can marry the third master, I can do whatever I want. After all, old Master Lu is my backer. If the Jiang family still wants to continue to enjoy wealth and glory, I advise you to teach your daughter well. Otherwise, if I can't help but break her legs and arms, what can your Jiang family do? Jiang Wendy angrily pointed at her nose and said, in the past 3 years, you have been rebellious and done all kinds of stupid things. Are you planning to break off relations with the Jiang family now? I don't mind tearing my skin off, as long as you dare. You? Sister. You are our parents' biological daughter, how can you go against them? Your surname is Jiang, not Lu. If the third master really kicks you out one day, where will you live then? You have to go home. Jiang Qing tried her best to maintain her image as a good sister, by trying her best to persuade him. Jiang Wan glanced at her, do I want to go back to the Jiang family? Jiang Wendy was so angry that he was shaking. After a moment, he took a deep breath and said, what a great prestige. I think you are completely crazy. Apologize to your sister, otherwise, my Jiang family will not have a daughter like you. He just didn't believe that she would be willing to give up her identity as their daughter of the Jiang family, after having lived a hard life and suffered so much in the countryside. Even though she is Mrs. Lu San in the Lu family, once she loses her natal identity, she will be nothing. Since an unlucky broken box can't make her obedient, she has no choice but to exploit her identity. Jiang Wan wiped her cheek, sneered, and looked at him with cold eyes. The chilling gaze made Jiang Wendy lose half of his confidence. Madame Jiang looked at Jiang Wan and calmed down. Wan, you are our daughter after all. It's not too late for you to apologize to your father and admit your mistakes now. If you lose your status as the daughter of the Jiang family, you will be bullied in the capital in the future. Upon hearing this, Jiang Qing stared at Jiang Wan closely. If she was completely expelled from the Jiang family, she would be the only daughter of the Jiang family in the future. She no longer has to worry about her identity as an adopted daughter being exposed in the circle. Jiang Wendy took a deep breath, as if to give her another chance. Jiang Wan, you'd better think it through. No need to think about it, I agree. She answered promptly and clearly. Without hesitation. Mrs. Jiang was stunned, you. I would love to sever ties with you. I hope you can keep your word. It would be best if you remove my name from your Jiang family's household register. I feel unlucky to be on the same household register with you. Chapter 26, Being Molested. Jiang Wan left without looking back, without any reluctance and with full determination. Mrs. Jiang watched her leaving back, feeling an indescribable feeling in her heart. She clearly didn't like her daughter, and even resented this evil born from her belly who would kill her parents. Because she gave birth to this scourge, she suffered from the ridicule and contempt of her mother-in-law every day. She didn't even want to hold the baby. Jiang Qing sensed Mrs. Jiang's reluctance, and regardless of the pain on his palm, he watched Jiang Wan's back disappear at the door with hatred. She absolutely cannot let Jiang Wan turn things around. Jiang Wan left without looking back, without any reluctance and with full determination. Mrs. Jiang watched her leaving back, feeling an indescribable feeling in her heart. She clearly didn't like her daughter, and even resented this evil born from her belly who would kill her parents. Because she gave birth to this scourge, she suffered from the ridicule and contempt of her mother-in-law every day. She didn't even want to hold the baby. Jiang Qing sensed Mrs. Jiang's reluctance, and regardless of the pain on his palm, he watched Jiang Wan's back disappear at the door with hatred. She absolutely cannot let Jiang Wan turn things around. After returning to Lu Mansion, Jiang Wan locked the door, walked to their bed and sat down, carefully taking out the broken safety lock. There is a word Yin engraved on this piece lock. She had never seen her master's belongings before and had no idea what he left behind. All I know is that it was something he gave to his daughter. The master's daughter is also her senior sister. Although she has never seen her, she is at least the master's only blood relative in this world. He stayed at the Imperial Capital University and entered the Department of Archaeology. He failed the courses on purpose in order to repeat the year. After all, his master's daughter was a student in the Department of Archaeology at the Imperial University. Unfortunately, there have been so many new classes of students, and it would be like looking for a needle in a haystack for her to check. Fortunately, we now have safety locks. Find the predecessors whose names contain, narrow the scope, and you will always find them. Wanbao, come out and play tonight. Xu Yi's text message popped up on the screen. At night, in the club's disco, a group of brightly dressed young men and women were dancing to the deafening music. Xu Yi wore a brown leather halter dress with a white shirt underneath and tied her hair into two neat buns. She got a bottle of cocktail for Jiang Wan, and they clinked the bottles together. Have you really severed your relationship with the Jiang family? They didn't raise me anyway. Jiang Wan raised her head to drink and took back her master's relics. Her relationship with the Jiang family had already ended. Thinking of something, she went upstairs and touched Xu Yi's shoulder. Do me a favor. What can I do for you? She laughed. Please go to Professor Lin and find all the students in the archaeology department who have phonetic characters in their names. Write them down for me. Xu Yi looked puzzled. Why should I go? Your father is the director of the museum, and is good friends with Professor Lin, so you have a connection. After saying that, he shook her body. Please be kind, Xiaoyi, you are my only friend in the capital. Xu Yi was so disgusted by her words that he pushed her away. You are so disgusting, Tilder. Jiang Wan laughed along. Suddenly, I felt someone patted my butt. Her smile faded. Who was so blind as to dare to take advantage of her? Look back. He happened to stare at the young man standing behind him. About her age. He is quite tall, fair-skinned, with pretty facial features, slightly upturned eyes, and a temperament that is both good and evil. I always feel that his face looks a bit like Professor Yang. But not exactly like that. Being looked at by Jiang Wan like this, the man was stunned and frowned. Could it be that some woman wanted to take this opportunity to strike up a conversation with him again? Jiang Wan clenched her fist and stretched it out in front of him. Brother, have you ever seen a sandbag as big as your fist? He was puzzled. What? The next second, Jiang Wan swung her fist towards the man's left cheek. The man's body suddenly tilted sideways. Several men beside him hurriedly supported him. Master Lu. Jason Lu got beaten for no reason. He touched his nose and found blood coming out. He was furious and said, Woman, are you sick? Jiang Wan pointed at him. You are the one who is sick. Why are you touching my butt? Xu Yi was stunned, and glared at Jason Lu, and stretched out his hands to protect Jiang Wan. How dare you tease my friend? Touch, butt? Flirting? This was the first time that Lu Jing had been slandered since he was a child. I was so angry that I laughed. I touched your butt, you think you look? The stage lights suddenly swept over, and when he saw the woman's face clearly, Jason Lu's arrogance disappeared by half. Chapter 27 Misunderstanding. Depend on. This face is really the type he likes. Jason Lu combed his hair back. Well, just because you look pretty, I'm going to touch you. Do I look like a gangster? Jiang Wan rolled up her sleeves while laughing. You don't have a hooligan written on your face. You're standing behind me and you still have the nerve to argue. Do you really think girls are easy to bully? Jason Lu pointed at her. If you dare to touch me. Jiang Wan held him down and beat him hard. The man beside her pulled her away, but was then pulled apart by Xu Yi, and soon a fight broke out. Inside the Dillon Villa mansion, located in the most prosperous area in the city center, the sound of running water could be heard from the bathroom, and the frosted glass vaguely reflected the figure inside. The cell phone on the bedside table suddenly rang. Lu Yanzhou walked out of the bathroom wrapped in a bathrobe, stopped at the bedside table, picked up the phone and answered it. Third master, Madam is in police custody for beating someone up. He frowned, beating someone. As soon as we arrived at the club, we saw the lady fighting with Master Jason. Lu Yanzhou rubbed the bridge of his nose. His brows were furrowed tightly. Is she hurt? Madam is not injured, it is the young master who is injured. Lu Yanzhou took off his bathrobe and picked up his shirt. Which police station? Nanda district. In the police station, Jiang Wan and Shu Yi checked the club's surveillance cameras behind the police. After checking, I found out it was a huge misunderstanding. Someone else slapped her on the butt. But it was just because we were crowded together and hit each other accidentally. Meanwhile, Jason Lu happened to move to a position behind her. So this beautiful misunderstanding was formed. Shu Yi was extremely embarrassed. Wan, we made a mistake. Jiang Wan laughed dryly twice and walked towards the man sitting on a bench nearby who was applying ice to his face. Jason Lu was alert. What are you doing? Are you still thinking of taking action? I'm sorry. Jiang Wan clasped her hands together, with a sincere attitude. I'm really, really sorry. Jason Lu pointed at the bruises on his face and said, Look, you got beaten up by me. Just say sorry and that's it. Why do we need the police? Then what do you want? Let's settle it privately. Jason Lu held out his phone. You want to settle it privately? Fine. I won't make it difficult for you. Let's add WeChat. After all this time, you need to add WeChat to transfer money? Jiang Wan scanned his WeChat, added him successfully, raised her eyelids to look at him, and laughed dryly. I'll transfer it to you when I get back. Jason Lu raised his head and asked, What are you turning? Wan, we can go now. Shu Yi came over and called her. Jiang Wan quickly left with her. Jason Lu was about to call her, but she had already left the house. He hadn't even asked her name yet. But what did her friend call her just now? Wan. As soon as Jiang Wan left, the Lu family's bodyguards came over. Master. Jason Lu covered his cheek and walked out of the police station with his bodyguard. The bodyguard said, The third master already knows about you. He was stunned. Who asked you to report it? You also told me about the beating I got. The bodyguard nodded. He just stood there in a daze. It was over. Third uncle is well known for protecting his people in the Lu family. If third uncle finds out that the girl hit her, she will be in trouble. Here, Shu Yi's driver took Jiang Wan to Yanzhou district, an intersection only 1 kilometer away from Lu Mansion. She got out of the car. The housing prices in Yanzhou district are shockingly high. It's truly a wealthy area. Do you live here? Shu Yi leaned out of the car window and said, You said your boyfriend is not a rich second generation. You didn't mean to hide it from me. Jiang Wan couldn't explain it clearly and could only laugh dryly. After her car left, Jiang Wan breathed a sigh of relief, took out her phone, and blocked the new WeChat user. It is impossible to lose money. Who made him choose to settle the matter privately? It would be a waste not to take advantage of this opportunity. I won't see you again anyway. Walking back, I suddenly saw a familiar Bentley parked under a street light not far away. Chapter 28 Who hit me? Seeing the man walk out of the car with his tall figure, Jiang Wan stepped forward and asked, Professor Yang, why are you here? Lu Yanzhou's eyes were fixed on her slightly swollen face, his brows drooped. Who hit you? Jiang Wan subconsciously touched her cheek. It was the slap that Jiang Wendy had given her in the afternoon. Can he still see it now? No one. I'll fight with my dad this afternoon. Lu Yanzhou's brows relaxed a little. Fortunately, it wasn't that brat who did it, otherwise. In a blink of an eye, his eyes darkened and it was impossible to tell whether he was happy or angry. Jiang Wan seemed to have thought of something and took 2 steps back. Professor Yang, if you have nothing else to say, I will go back first. She tried to slip away. The back of the collar was suddenly hooked by his fingers. She stepped back, and the man grabbed her by the back of the neck and seemed to be carrying her. Where are you going back to? She took a breath. Go back to Lu Mansion. Lu Yanzhou lifted her head and forced her to look directly at him. I helped you today. The suppression from the Jiang family company has been lifted. Isn't it time for you to fulfill your promise? Her feet felt a little unsteady. I didn't agree. His smile faded a little, his eyes were unfathomable. You're kidding me. Jiang Wan ducked out of his hand like a loach. Give me a few days to think about it. I'll give you 2 days. Yanzhou took off his glasses, squinted his eyes slightly, and slowly wiped them with a lens cloth. She gritted her teeth and agreed, okay. He turned around and ran straight towards Lu Mansion. Yanzhou watched her back, his smile gradually fading. He got into the driver's seat, picked up his phone and dialed Jiangzhen's number. Find someone to do something for me. Third master, what do you want to do? He put his arm on the car window, playing with his gold-rimmed glasses, and said calmly, find someone to block Jiang Wendy's company. Give him a random reason and give him 50,000 yuan for a slap. The next morning, Jiang Wan ate breakfast absent-mindedly. Butler Chen noticed this and asked, Madam, is your breakfast not to your liking? She took a deep breath and calmly put down her knife and fork. Will the third master be back in the next few days? Butler Chen smiled and said, I don't know about this either. The third master didn't tell me. Uncle Chen, does the third master have a woman outside? Butler Chen was so frightened that he was shaking, his face changed. Madam, don't say such things carelessly, if it gets to the third master's ears, it will be bad. She raised an eyebrow, what if I support a man? Butler Chen almost fainted. He took out a handkerchief to wipe the cold sweat off his face, gritting his teeth and saying, Madam, I advise you to be more obedient. The third master is ruthless and will not tolerate any stains. Why does this lady insist on seeking death? Jiang Wan was speechless, and agreed in her heart, he is obviously a coward. For the first time, I had a new understanding of cruelty. What kind of person is the third master? Butler Chen chuckled and said, of course he is handsome and has an extraordinary appearance. He is the most beautiful woman in the world. Jiang Wan's mouth twitched. If she hadn't seen that shiny bald head at Lu's, she would have really believed it. However, no stains. If she really lived with Professor Yang, would the old man be able to bear not to divorce her? In the morning, in a coffee shop in the Imperial Capital University District, Shui handed her a handwritten copy. Jiang Wan took it and looked at the arrangement, but the admission date did not match. Just these few. How many people can have names with a pronunciation? There are very few students in the archaeology department with this name. Shui took a sip of coffee. Jiang Wan didn't say anything. Master S' daughter would be at least in her 60s now. After all, he lived to be 100 years old and was a long-lived man. However, the admission times and ages on these lists do not match. What about earlier? She asked. Shui looked at her. Who are you looking for? Looking for relatives. Shui really believed it and reached out to pat her shoulder. Don't worry, I'll try harder. The two left the coffee shop and passed the basketball court, where they saw a group of girls gathered and shouting loudly. Shui and Jiang Wan were also curious and went in to take a look. Among the boys playing basketball, there was actually the scapegoat from last night. Chapter 29, Mr. Lu. Her eldest nephew. Wanwan, he's not the one from last night. Is he from our school? Shui was surprised. Jason Lu was tall and had fair skin, and he stood out among the boys in sportswear. He used a fake move to break through the enemy's encirclement. After he dunked, the girls at the bottom of the stairs stood up and cheered, Master Lu! Master Lu! Master Lu! Jiang Wan was stunned and pulled Shui. What are they shouting? Shui also looked at her, Mr. Lu. Jiang Wan. So their scapegoat is the young master of the Lu family. Isn't he that her nominal nephew? The basketball suddenly came towards this side. Just directed at Jiang Wan. Careful. As soon as he finished speaking, Jiang Wan safely caught the basketball that was thrown at him. The moment Jason Lu raised his head and saw her, he was stunned at first, and a hint of surprise appeared on his face. She is actually from Imperial University. Jiang Wan threw the ball out suddenly, pulling Shui away. The basketball hit the frame with a bang and fell into the net. A complete airdrop dunk. Very accurate. The boys on the basketball court were dumbfounded. Hey, wait! Jason Lu chased up the stairs. A tall girl with long straight hair and a beautiful face walked towards him with a bottle of mineral water. She had a charming smile on her face. Jason, get out of the way. Jason Lu left her behind and walked away. The students on one side watched the fun. Mr. Lu actually ignored the beauty of Han University. Who was that woman who just dunked? I don't know. Jiang Wan and Shu Yi said goodbye outside the school. Just as they were about to leave, someone grabbed her wrist and said, "Hey, little pepper, why did you block me?" He was panting, obviously having been chased after, and his body was still wet with sweat from playing basketball. The bruises on his face were less noticeable, but not completely gone. Jiang Wan's mouth twitched. It's over. It's really a narrow road for enemies to meet. Could it be that he wants her to pay compensation? Little Pepper, I'm asking you a question. Chili Pepper. Jiang Wan pulled her hand away. What are you yelling about? I don't know your name. My name is 90. Jason Liu clicked his tongue. I'm serious, WeChat pulled me out. Why? Why are there so many whys? You hit me last night, can't I add you on WeChat? It was the first time he asked a woman for her WeChat ID. In the past, it was always those women who took the initiative to add him, but she was so ignorant. Jiang Wan just felt confused. Even after getting beaten by her, why can't you get rid of her like a sticky candy? Not far away, a few girls who were chasing after them happened to see this scene. Han Yao, isn't that Mr. Liu? Who is that woman? It must be another shameless vixen trying to hit on Master Liu. I remember who she is. She is Jiang Wan, the elder sister of Jiang Qing from our department. Jiang Qing said that she came from the countryside and has little education. She entered the Imperial University through the back door. By the way, Chen Feishue was suspended from school some time ago for spreading rumors that she was having an affair. She already has a boyfriend, but she's still hooked up with Master Liu. Han Yao bit her lip. She had been pursuing Jason Liu for so long, but Jason Liu had never smiled at her like this. Is it Jiang Wan? She remembered it. At this time, Jiang Wan pulled his WeChat from the blacklist and placed it in front of him, and it back. I'm leaving, nephew. Before he could react, Jiang Wan ran away. Jason Liu came back to his senses. What nephew? Hey, where is he? A Bentley was parked not far away. The man in the car looked somewhere meaningfully with his eyes, expressionless. Obviously he saw everything that happened just now clearly. The driver turned back cautiously. Third master. Call him over here. Chapter 30, Professor Yang's mansion starts at 100 million. The driver rolled down the window and honked the horn. Jason Liu turned around and walked to the side of the car. Uncle San, it really is you. My dad said you're a professor at Imperial University. Is that true? He held his forehead with one hand and said indifferently, back to school. I heard you were back. Jason Liu scratched his head and smiled. The little girl who was with you just now. His body froze and he interrupted hastily, Uncle San, don't embarrass her. Liu Yanzhou looked at him and narrowed his eyes. Difficult. Although she hit me last night, she didn't mean it. Oh, and she apologized to me on WeChat. We have made peace. So, you must not cause trouble for her. Liu Yanzhou held the frame of his glasses and said nothing. The more silent he was, the more anxious Jason Liu became. He was cheated of money by a woman that year, and it was his uncle who helped him to settle the matter. He didn't know what happened to that woman, but he never saw her again in the capital. It's like he disappeared from the face of the earth. Uncle San, do you believe in love at first sight? Liu Yanzhou stared at him. What are you in love with? Jason Liu's face was full of smiles. He looked like a young man in high spirits, and he looked like he was in love. That's her. Liu Yanzhou's eyes darkened and he laughed angrily. He stopped smiling for a moment, rolled up the window expressionlessly, and asked the driver to drive. Jason Liu was sweating profusely. Oh no, his uncle was angry. He took out his cell phone and sent a message to Jiang Wan, Little La Jiao, my uncle knows that you hit me, but don't worry, I'll protect you. Come to me if you have any problems. On her way back, Jiang Wan received Jason Liu's message. After reading it, she was speechless. Can you divorce her now that you know this? She didn't know if it was her destiny to offend Liu in this life, but she was involved with someone with the surname Liu. Another message popped up on her phone. This time, it was Professor Yang. Come to the Emperor's Villa. The Dillon Villa is located in Nanda district. It is considered a high-end luxury apartment in the imperial capital. It is 39 stories high and is located in the city center, surrounded by overpasses. The taxi stopped outside the gate. Jiang Wan got out of the car and walked to the door. Unsurprisingly, she was stopped by the security guard. "Wait, what are you doing here?" "Looking for someone." The security guard looked her up and down, thinking she was wearing cheap clothes, and said arrogantly, "This is the Dylan community. If you are not a resident here, you cannot enter. I was called here." "You?" "The people living in Dylan are either rich or noble. How can a yellow-haired girl like you know them?" Jiang Wan laughed. "Security boss, why do workers have to make things difficult for workers? I really know people. Why are you so busy? Hurry up and don't block the road here." The security guard waved them away. I caught a glimpse of a Bentley driving up to the door, and the other party immediately greeted me with a smile, which was completely different from his attitude just now. Yanzhou rolled down the car window and looked at Jiang Wan. The security guard looked at her still standing there and pointed at her impatiently. Hey, why are you still here? Get out of the way. Get in the car." The man's voice was low and calm. The security guard was stunned and watched Jiang Wan walk to the front of the car and open the door. Jiang Wan stopped. He looked back at the person standing there in a daze, sighed, turned around and got into the car. Yanzhou raised his eyes and glanced at the front rear mirror. The driver understood at a glance and waved to the security guard. The security guard walked to the car with gritted teeth. The driver whispered something in his ear and he could no longer laugh. He wanted to slap himself in the face as he watched the car pass by. In the car, Jiang Wan questioned him angrily. "You can't even buy a house in this community with 50 million, right? Didn't you tell me you were short of money? The land price of Dylan Villa is shockingly high, starting at 100 million, and most of the people living here are wealthy people or celebrities who can be associated with Dacia. Even celebrities may not have the opportunity to live here. No wonder the security guards were so arrogant." Chapter 31, Since I am an adulterer, I must live up to the name. Yanzhou smiled faintly. "I can give you a discount." She was skeptical. "Can I still get a discount?" "It's a privilege granted by the state." Jiang Wan couldn't laugh anymore. Being a scientific researcher in Dacia was a golden rice bowl. Jiang Wan and he took the elevator to the 29th floor. The entire floor was independent and even had an outdoor swimming pool. It was truly a luxury house. Rich and inhumane. Yanzhou took off his suit, walked into the hallway, and watched the little girl looking around as soon as she entered the room. She really had no precautions at all about men and women being alone together. Jiang Wan walked around the house, not daring to stop. She and Professor Yang. A single man and a single woman. It's easy for something bad to happen. She hid behind the wall, lost her mind due to lust, and caused great harm to others. It's just impulsive. Yanzhou pulled off his tie and caught a glimpse of the shadow behind the wall. He noticed it and a barely perceptible curve appeared at the corner of his lips as he moved closer to her. She took a deep breath, came out from behind the wall, and ran headlong into his arms. The man reached out and held her in his arms. Jiang Wan looked at him blankly, swallowing subconsciously, her heart inexplicably out of control. Yanzhou stroked her pink lips with his fingertips, his eyes dark. "Have you thought about it?" I felt the cool touch of his fingertips on my mouth, just a light touch, but it rippled in my heart. It took a long time to calm down. What undoubtedly comes to mind is the madness and craziness of that night. She spoke with difficulty, considering what? "Live with me." Jiang Wan laughed dryly. "Does this count as seducing me to cheat?" He lowered his head, moved half an inch closer, and said with a seductive breath, "Hasn't it already happened? Do you regret it?" The man's enchanting face was close at hand, but I had never looked at him closely before. Only now do I realize how handsome he is. She is born with cold fair skin, delicate skin, strong facial features, and thin lips of light color. Especially his eyebrows, which are very deep, his eyes are shaped like peach blossoms, he has long eyelashes, and the tails of his eyes are slightly upturned, as if he is drunk, which makes people feel excited. When wearing glasses, he looks serious and refined, showing a sense of abstinence from worldly affairs. Holy and noble when taking off glasses, he looks strong and charming, with an overflowing sense of power. Yanzhou lowered his eyes and saw her staring at him in a trance. His thin lips curved up. "Does it look good?" "It looks good," she blurted out, and suddenly came back to her senses, her cheeks burning, and she licked her dry lips. You really look like an adulterer now." And you even seduced me. Since you're an adulterer, you have to live up to the name. Liu Yanzhou took off his glasses and kissed him instantly. The man's strong breath swept over her like a tide, drowning her inch by inch. She seemed to be held in his arms, allowing him to invade her at will and fall into depravity with him. The ringing of the cell phone broke the atmosphere that was gradually getting out of control. No matter how strong the desire or how great the interest was, it was all destroyed. Liu Yanzhou let go of her with a heavy breath, unbuttoned his collar, took the phone and walked aside to answer it. The other party said, "Boss, we asked around in Baibao Pavilion, and none of the employees of Baibao Pavilion have seen Guanya, but we did find out that one person has seen him." "Who?" "Mr. Wang from Parkview Building, Wang Jianxian, has extensive connections in the antique circle. According to him, he only met the official once, and the official was a young man." Liu Yanzhou looked deep. "Young man? About early 20s. Liu Yanzhou looked out the window. Early 20s. 3 years ago, he was only 17 years old. It is indeed not easy for a young boy to trick the night pearls out of the hands of several senior Y countrymen. Chapter 32, Taste the Taste. Tell Wang Jianxian that I have something to ask him to do. After ending the call, Liu Yanzhou turned around and saw that the little girl had unknowingly retreated from the bedroom to behind the door. Jiang Wan reached out and grabbed the door handle. A tall figure approached from behind her. She was stunned, raised her head slowly, and smiled awkwardly. "Professor Yang, you are busy, I won't disturb you." He leaned down slightly and whispered in her ear, "Weren't you very brave in the nightclub? Are you scared now?" Jiang Wan bit her lip. She hadn't thought about seeing him again when she was in the nightclub. If she knew he was a professor at the Imperial University, she wouldn't have chosen him. "I said, once this relationship begins, there is no room for regret." Before she could react, Liu Yanzhou picked her up and walked into the bedroom. Just like that night, extreme, intense desire filled her body and made her blood boil. Jiang Wan was under him, her eyes blurred with tears and her eyelashes were covered with crystal tears. She was extremely sensitive. Every time he kissed her, she trembled. Her fair and delicate skin was full of his marks. An unknown amount of time had passed before Jiang Wan fell into a deep sleep in his arms, with faint snoring sounds coming from her. Liu Yanzhou pulled up the plush blanket to cover her naked skin, and gently wiped her slightly red cheeks soaked with sweat with his fingertips. After that night, he had never expected that this little girl would break his usual inhibitions. In the past, he disdained to indulge in these affairs, but now, he has become addicted to them and cannot stop. In the evening, Jiang Wendy returned to the Jiang family with a gloomy face. Mrs. Jiang made a cup of tea, looked up and saw her husband with a bruised face and nose, and the cup slipped from her hands. She stood up suddenly. "Hubby, how did you get into this state? Stop talking. It's so unlucky. I don't know who it is, but he put a cap on my head and beat me hard." Jiang Wendy touched the swollen area and hissed. Although he went to the hospital for treatment, he couldn't swallow this anger. "Did you call the police?" "Call the police? The person ran away and I didn't even see what he looked like." He sat on the sofa, feeling very annoyed. Mrs. Jiang sat beside him and asked, "Did you offend someone?" Jiang Wendy was even more annoyed. "How should I know? It's better not to let me know which bastard did it." Madame Jiang asked the servant to get an ice pack and apply it on him. He talked about business. "Young Master Lu has returned to the capital, and it's time to discuss Qingqing's marriage. Let Jiang Wan help. Old Master Lu values her and will give her face. But, didn't Jiang Wan want to sever ties with us? She's just talking about it. Is she willing to do it?" Jiang Wendy snorted. "Without us, where will she get the money to go to college and repeat her studies? Is she going to ask Third Master Lu? Even if Third Master Lu is willing to support her until graduation, once her affair is known to the Lu family, will the Lu family still want her as their daughter-in-law? She has a strong life and it is a blessing for her not to be killed. But she doesn't cherish them and blames them." Jiang Wendy picked up his phone to call Jiang Wan. The next second, a notification sounded. "The user you dialed is turned off." The next day, Jiang Wan took Liu Yanzhou's car and arrived near the west gate of Imperial Capital University. When she thought about how she had gotten on their pirate ship yesterday and had done everything she should have done, she sighed secretly. This track can't be straightened. Seeing that she didn't move, Yanzhou put his fingers on his forehead and said calmly, "Do you want to stay with me for a while?" "No." She unbuckled her seatbelt, pushed the door, got out of the car, and ran straight to the gate. Watching her fleeing back, Yanzhou's lips curled up imperceptibly. "It's really funny." On this side, Jiang Wan just arrived downstairs when the screen of her cell phone lit up. "There is news. And Lawu, my dear, someone has been asking about your whereabouts these days. They have bad intentions. Have you offended anyone?" Chapter 33. Stay away from Jason Liu. Jiang Wan was stunned, thinking that she had never offended anyone with this vest. Apart from. Impossible. She has been hiding so deeply in the past few years, how could those people find her? Suddenly she heard someone calling her. She came back to her senses and saw that it was the girl with bangs from last time. Jiang Wan stepped forward. "It's you? Thank you for what you did last time. Don't you blame me?" Her face was full of caution and guilt. "I know you were bullied by them, but you didn't dare to say it, but it's okay now. They can't bully you anymore." The girl with bangs slowly raised her head, with gratitude in her eyes. Thank you. I don't even know your name yet." The girl with bangs smiled shyly. "My name is Qin Wanwan." Suddenly she thought of something important, looked around, and asked in a low voice, "By the way, have you offended Han Yao?" "Han Yao, who is that?" "She's the campus beauty at Imperial University and from our finance department. I'm telling you in secret that her family is rich and she's not easy to mess with, so you have to be careful." Qin Wanwan pushed up the frame of his black glasses to remind her. Jiang Wan raised her eyelids. "No need to remind them, they are here." Several female college students immediately surrounded Qin Wanwan downstairs. She subconsciously took a few steps back, fearing them. The girl with long straight hair in the lead is indeed beautiful, but she has a bit of a tech vibe, with deep European double eyelids, a tall and upturned nose, and typical smiling lips. The clothes she wore were all from well-known brands, and the watch on her wrist was worth about 300,000 or 400,000 yuan, which showed that her family was indeed wealthy. "Are you Jiang Wan?" Jiang Wan smiled at her. "You've come to see me, why do you still need to ask?" Han Yao stopped in front of her and said disapprovingly, "You are just a little adopted daughter of the Jiang family, right? Don't you consider your own status? I advise you to stay away from Jason Liu and don't cover things that are not yours." "Who do you want? Jason Liu?" Jiang Wan was stunned for a moment, then pointed at herself in surprise. "Are you talking about me?" The short-haired girl next to Han Yao couldn't stand it and pushed her forward. "You are just pretending to be stupid, right? You dare to flirt with Mr. Liu, don't you see how poor you are? Are you worthy of him?" Jiang Wan's smile faded slightly, and she said, "You're not that good. Learn from Han Yao and behave like a master. You came up and started swearing like a slave. You're not really a slave, are you?" The short-haired girl looked unhappy. "What did you say? You want to scold me again? What's wrong with me scolding you? Who do you think you are?" Jiang Wan couldn't help laughing, her watery eyes filled with innocence. "I asked you to scold me, but you were still very obedient. You still have a slave nature." The girls around them almost laughed out loud. The short-haired girl's face turned pale from choking, as if she was going to vomit blood in the next second. Only Han Yao remained calm. As expected of a rich family's daughter, she had seen a lot of things. She disdained this kind of quarrel. "You are so sharp-tongued. No wonder that idiot Chen Feishue couldn't beat you. Jiang Wan, if you offend me, you'd better think about the consequences. You guys who come from wealthy families only know how to threaten others. Are you going to fire me?" Jiang Wan pretended to be surprised. "It's just a matter of one word to fire you, as long as you promise not to bother Jingyan." Jiang Wan smiled. "When did I bother him? Please clarify the situation. I am not familiar with Mr. Liu." "Han Yao, who told you to cause trouble to her?" Jason Liu walked through the crowd, pushed people aside, and stood in front of Jiang Wan. Jiang Wan was speechless. This guy came at the perfect time. Han Yao was stunned and hurriedly explained, "Jinian, my father and your father are old friends. We have known each other for so many years. How can you question me for an outsider?" Jason Liu's eyes were filled with impatience. "That's between your dad and my dad. It's none of my business. I'm warning you, don't harass her again." Chapter 34. She hooked up with an old man who drove a Bentley. Seeing Jason Lu speaking harshly without regard for their feelings, Han Yao's eyes turned red. He stamped his feet, turned around and ran away. Several other girls followed suit. Jason Lu turned to look at Jiang Wan, with a smile in his eyes. "Little Pepper, next time she comes to see you, just tell me directly. I said, I'll protect you." Jiang Wan crossed her arms and said, "It's simple. Just don't come to me." She turned around and was about to take Qin Wanwan away. Jason Lu decisively blocked her way and leaned closer to her. "That won't work. After all, you hit me that night. If I don't protect you, not only will she make trouble for you, but my third uncle will also make trouble for you." She raised her head and asked, "You mean Mr. Lu San? So you also know my third uncle?" Jason Lu smiled deeply, as if he was deliberately trying to scare her. "My third uncle is not a man who will show any mercy to women. No matter if you are a man or a woman, it will be hard to offend him." Jiang Wan didn't know how to answer him. She didn't know whether it would be good or not to offend Mr. Lu Sanya. Anyway, this old man is her husband, so the hat is just right. He didn't say a word. "But don't worry, little La Jiao, third uncle loves me the most." Jason Lu patted his chest and vowed, "I will protect you. He won't touch you." Jiang Wan laughed out loud. "You are Walong, right? If I'm the sleeping dragon, then you must be the phoenix." Jason Lu crossed his arms and suddenly laughed out loud. "We are perfect match." Jiang Wan. The people of the Lu family are somewhat abnormal. Han Yao suffered a loss at the hands of Jiang Wan, so she turned around and went back to vent her anger on Jiang Qing. "Jiang Wan is your sister, right? How dare you, a small Jiang family, act so arrogantly in front of me?" Jiang Qing was stunned. When she heard Jiang Wan, she guessed that it was Jiang Wan who provoked her. The Han family is very powerful in the imperial capital. Han Yao has always been arrogant in college and no one dares to provoke her. The Jiang family cannot compare with the Han family. She lowered her eyebrows and said, "Student Han Yao, you misunderstood. Jiang Wan is just the adopted daughter of the Jiang family. She has been kicked out of the Jiang family a long time ago. She has nothing to do with our Jiang family." Adopted daughter. Han Yao laughed angrily. "A mere adopted daughter dares to snatch Jinyan from me. Scenery year. Could it be Jason Lu?" Jiang Qing lowered her eyelids and gritted her teeth secretly. This bitch Jiang Wan actually hooked up with Jason Lu. No wonder she was so confident that she dared to block my father. It's not like she didn't know Jason Lu's identity. The eldest son of the Lu family in the imperial capital and the future heir of the Lu family, he has a bright future. The Lu family's background alone is enough to support half of the sky in the imperial capital. How glorious it would be to marry into the Lu family. Han Yao had a crush on Jason Lu, and everyone in the university knew about it. It would be inappropriate for her to offend Han Yao because of Jason Lu. It would be better if Jiang Qing pretended to be regretful. "In fact, this is not the first time my sister has done this. After all, she grew up in the countryside and has never seen the world. The reason she was kicked out of the Jiang family was because she hooked up with an old man who drove a Bentley." Han Yao was puzzled. "Doesn't she have a boyfriend?" She said that just to save face. That man is not her boyfriend at all. He is the one who supports her. I saw with my own eyes that old man sent her home. If someone else said this, she might not believe it, but Jiang Qing is Jiang Wan's sister and they are both members of the Jiang family, so it is credible. Han Yao's face turned pale. "I thought she was some powerful person, but she turned out to be a dirty thing. I must tell Jason." Jiang Qing was secretly proud of himself. Before he could think of a way to kill Jiang Wan, Han Yao came to him. It would be better if they just fight each other. She has secured the position of the Lu family's young lady. Chapter 35, Jin Yuan Big Boss. In the afternoon, Jiang Wan went straight to Jin Yuan. And Lao Wu saw her back as he sent the guests away. He looked around and asked, "How dare you come back? Why worry? No one knows it's me." Jiang Wan entered the lobby, and Lao Wu followed behind her. "Have you really never offended anyone? Those people last time seemed to be of high status." Jiang Wan turned around and asked, "Did they ask anything else?" "No." She pondered as she went upstairs. Could it be that those people really came to her for what happened 3 years ago? But the treasure didn't belong to them in the first place, so why did they target it? Jiang came to the last bedroom on the third floor and handed the safety lock she carried with her to Yanzhou. Help me fix this chain. Yanzhou took it and said, does this thing need to be repaired? Can't we just replace it? This is my master's thing. Yanzhou shut up and nodded, okay, I'll fix it. She pushed the door open and entered the house. The glass shelves inside were filled with various treasured antiques. She walked to a hanging painting, moved it aside, and pushed open the secret door. There was no light in the dark room, but bright light was everywhere. What comes into view is a glass cabinet with a huge knight-shining pearl placed inside. Fortunately, no one knew about her secret room. The more dangerous a place is, the safest it is. Jiang left the room, locked the door, and was about to go downstairs when she heard a commotion downstairs. Mr. Wang came into the lobby with his briefcase and called out to Yanzhou, hey, you're here. Yanzhou came out from the front desk and greeted him with a smile, hey, isn't this Mr. Wang? So, do you have any more goods today? President Wang waved his hands and said mysteriously, I'm not here to trade, I'm here to see the official. To see the magistrate. Yanzhou suddenly looked upstairs. Jiang went downstairs and asked, what do you want to see the official for? This is. Jiang rolled her eyes, walked up to him and started to talk nonsense. I am Guan Yi's sister, Guan Mai. President Wang looked at Yanzhou and asked, Master, do you have a younger sister? Yanzhou was embarrassed, now I have it. It's all me anyway. Mr. Wang no longer cared whether it was true or not, and returned to the topic, oh, I heard from the inside that Yanzhou is going to hold a grand auction. I heard the inside information that the big boss of Jinyuan is going to auction a treasure at Yanzhou, and now everyone in our circle is going crazy. Jiang was stunned for a moment, what treasure? President Wang was extremely excited. The white jade seal with a dragon button. It is priceless. I heard that this treasure has been sold overseas for many years, and was later bought by a big boss from a foreign buyer. Now everyone in the antique circle knows that this rare treasure is about to appear in the world. The seats in Yanzhou are fully booked. Even if you can't afford it, you want to see it. I know that you have a deep understanding of antiques, so I want to ask you to accompany me to take a look. Jiang couldn't help but frown. White jade dragon seal. Isn't that the treasure her master sold to foreigners in his early years? Mr. Wang went to the front desk and poured himself a glass of water. He continued, speaking of the boss of Jinyuan, although I have never met him, he can be regarded as a top boss in our antiques industry. He has the final say on how many shops in Jinyuan can be successful. Antique dealers all want to climb this high branch. Rather than going there to broaden their horizons, they want to meet this big boss. When is the auction? Tonight, at 7 o'clock. After Yanzhou sent Mr. Wang away, he turned back and said, My dear, I always feel like something is wrong. Mr. Wang knows that we are in dire straits with Yanzhou, so why would he come to you for Yanzhou's auction? Chapter 36. He asked her, Have you heard of official master? Jiang crossed her arms and thought for a moment, I'm not stupid. If I really go, I won't use this identity. She would not do anything to get herself killed before knowing whether it was a trick or not. Are you really going? If the item being auctioned is really a white jade dragon seal, why shouldn't I go? She heard from her master that this thing was a burial object from the royal tomb, and her master was engaged in tomb robbing before he opened a clinic to help people. He has seen and touched all kinds of rare treasures. He can be said to be knowledgeable. He can tell a fake one just by looking at it and touching it. My master was born during the Republic of China. There was war at that time and the people in the village were poor and destitute, with insufficient food and warm clothes. My master made a living by this skill, but the transaction of cultural relics was banned at that time, so my master did it secretly. He did sell the white dragon jade seal to a foreigner, and at that time, $500 was considered a wealthy man. But later something happened. The master's wife and son were buried in a mudslide and both died, leaving behind only a daughter. The master believed that he was being punished by God, so he gave up his life and started practicing medicine instead. Her ability to appraise treasures was also taught by her master. If it is really the seal that her master sold, she can't miss it. Jiang left the treasure pavilion and just arrived at the gate of Jinyuan when she saw Lu Yanzhou's Bentley parked under a willow tree. She turned around without hesitation. Where are you going? Lu Yanzhou leaned against the car door, his tall and straight figure like a pine or bamboo, wearing a dark gray suit that was straight and neat, with no buttons or tie. He was playing with an engine oil lighter in his hand, with a nonchalant look in his eyes and a very relaxed look. Jiang Wan took a deep breath. Shouldn't he be in college? Turning around, she greeted him with a flattering smile. Oh, isn't this Professor Yan? What a coincidence. It's quite a coincidence. Lu Yanzhou lifted his eyelids, and the lens reflected the cute little girl's smiling eyes. Why are you here? I'm here to see my relatives. Relatives of Baibao Pavilion. Lu Yanzhou stared at her, with a hint of difficult to understand meaning hidden in his deep eyes. If I hadn't seen her coming out of the treasure pavilion, I wouldn't have known about such a coincidence. Distant relative. She asked back, Professor Yan, why are you here? He said, looking for someone. Who is it? Lu Yanzhou lowered his eyes to her face, and the next second, he suddenly grabbed her arm and pulled her into his arms. The sudden scene made her at a loss for what to do. She froze in the man's broad and upright arms, her suit stained with the cool cedar scent from his car. Sorry, please give me away. A vendor pulling a cart passed by her behind. Walking very fast. Before she could come to her senses, the man's faintly smiling voice came from above her head, you are so short. The somewhat ambiguous atmosphere was instantly destroyed. Jiang Wan broke away from his embrace and glared at him, I'm 1.65 meters tall. That's the standard height. But when she saw the man's height of 1.89 meters, Jiang Wan's arrogance faded again. He was considered tall among the crowd. It felt like a hand could lift her up. Like carrying a cat. The leaves on the roadside fell and landed on the tips of her hair. Lu Yanzhou stretched out his hand to pick them away. Have you heard of the official? Jiang Wan's heart skipped a beat and she looked away. What official? Sir. What master? Lu Yanzhou's smile faded, and he pinched her cheek with his palm, forcing her to look up. Are you kidding me? Her whole face was deformed in his palm, and her eyes still showed clear ignorance. I don't have it, I really don't know it. Lu Yanzhou looked at her face and said, it seems you have heard of it. No. I haven't heard of it. Why do you say you don't know him? Jiang Wan's heart skipped a beat. Trick her into talking. Jiang Wan took his hand away, rubbed her sore cheek, and said confidently, my relative is in Jinyuan, it's normal to have heard of him, but I don't know him. He hummed nonchalantly, I didn't say you knew him. Chapter 37 Is she really a strong bag? Jiang Wan glared at him. The old fox is so cunning and has so many tricks up his sleeve. He frowned, scolding me in your heart. Jiang Wan shifted her gaze, no. Get in the car. Lu Yanzhou moved aside and opened the car door. Where are you going? He said, go back. Jiang Wan got in the car and sat down on the chair. She picked up the information on the chair. It was all equations, formulas and concepts about physical models, which were extremely complicated. Without some knowledge of mathematics and physics, it is really hard to understand. Celestial mechanics research. She paused and turned to look at Lu Yanzhou. It shouldn't be a secret, right? Lu Yanzhou loosened the strap of his watch. Even if it's a secret, can you understand it? Who are you looking down on? I can understand math. It's just a differential equation. Lu Yanzhou's eyes were fixed on her slightly smug face, and his brows were slightly furrowed. Jiangjin said that she was a good-for-nothing idiot, but based on the deduced formulas, it can be seen that they are differential equations. The word, idiot, needs to be redefined. Finally, his cell phone rang. It's the old house's phone number. He answered the call. Third master, please come back soon. The master is ill. Lu Yanzhou frowned, I'll be there in a minute. Jiang Wan looked at him, her eyes rolling, are you busy? Or should I go back by myself? Looking at her expression, he guessed that she was not honest. He put away his phone and pinched her chin with his fingertips. I want to see you before I return to Dylan. Jiang Wan. What a domineering statement. She is obviously the financial sponsor. Lu Yanzhou returned to the old house. The servants in the lobby were busy running around. When they saw the tall figure of the man slowly appear, they all nodded, third master. The housekeeper of the old house is a nanny, Mother He, who has worked in the Lu family for 20 years and is deeply trusted by Mr. Lu. Himar came downstairs to greet him. Third master, you're back. His eyes were deep. What's the condition of father? Himar went upstairs with him and said, the master suddenly had chest pain, dizziness, and vomiting today. Dr. Shu examined the master in the bedroom. The young master was also there. Lu Yanzhou walked in slowly. Jason Lu, who was guarding the bedside of old man Lu, stood up and asked, third uncle. Dr. Shu turned around and nodded slightly. How's the situation? He asked Dr. Shu. Master, you have symptoms of liver blood deficiency, you still need medication to treat it. Lu Yanzhou raised his eyelids and looked at him. He has taken so many medicines, but his health is getting worse. Are you sure you want to continue taking them? Dr. Shu lowered his eyebrows and said, third master, the master has been having trouble sleeping and has a poor appetite recently. This is obviously due to insufficient liver blood. In addition to the usual diet and paying more attention to rest, pharmacology is essential. Okay, I have been suffering from insomnia and loss of appetite in the past few days. Dr. Shu has been by my side for so long, he understands. Mr. Lu stood up and leaned against the head of the bed. Dr. Shu behind him took 2 steps back and nodded, Master, third master, I will go back first. Mr. Lu nodded. Dr. Shu walked out the door, looked back, and left silently. Mother, he saw him off. Mr. Lu retracted his gaze and asked, why did you come back alone? Where is my daughter-in-law? Yes, third uncle, I haven't met third sister-in-law yet. Jason Lu only knew that his grandfather had arranged a wife for his third uncle, the daughter of the Jiang family, but he had never met her. He said indifferently, there will be plenty of opportunities to see you. By the way, Grandpa, I fell in love with a girl who is also studying archaeology like Grandma. Jason Lu was very proud. Lu Yanzhou loosened his tie and stared at him without saying a word. Mr. Lu was stunned. Which girl? Chapter 38 Little Liar. I didn't ask, but don't worry, I'll ask someone to find out right away. Jason Lu took out his phone and went out. Seeing that he was in a hurry, Mr. Lu wondered which girl could make this naughty boy so anxious. Old third, do you know? Lu Yanzhou pushed the glasses frame on his nose with his fingertips, his eyes slightly cold, I don't know. Finally, Lu Yanzhou left the old house. He got into the car and received a message on his phone, Professor Yang, my husband asked me to go home. See you tomorrow? He held his forehead with one hand and fixed his gaze on the screen for half a minute. He was amused but also angry. Little liar. The driver glanced at the rearview mirror and said, Boss, should we go back to Dylan now or? He put away his phone nonchalantly and said, let's go to Jinyuan. The bait has been laid out. Rumor has it in the circle that official is a connoisseur of valuables who will never let go of a good treasure. The finale item at tonight's auction is enough to tempt him. At this time, Tianjin building was bustling with activity. 2 bodyguards were waiting at the door. The VIPs who came presented their bank cards, had their assets checked, and were allowed to pass after their identities were confirmed. Tianjinlu has always had strict standards, and whenever there is a major auction, they will send extra staff to prevent anyone from ruining orders and causing trouble. It is said that there was a similar case in the past. A nouveau riche, in order to pick up girls, spent a lot of money to buy several items in Tianjinlu. He squandered more than 100 million yuan and maxed out his credit card. When I was checking out, my card was frozen by the bank, and since I had signed a contract for payment in exchange for goods, I could not return the goods. In the end, the contract was torn up and the order was cancelled. He also had a fight with the people from Tianjinlu and injured some of the staff. Jiang Wan walked up the stairs in high heels, wearing a red halter dress with a black lace shawl over it. Her hair was wavy, her makeup was heavy, her figure was swaying, and she was full of charm. The bodyguard stared at her, entranced for a moment. She raised her gloved hand slightly, and an Laowu behind her handed her a platinum card. The bodyguard came to his senses, took the card and checked it. Jiang Wan was fiddling with her hair nonchalantly. The bodyguard handed the card back to her with both hands, saying respectfully, "This is your card. Please keep it." She held the card between her fingers and spoke in a not-so-standard Cantonese accent, "Thank you, pretty boy Tilder." When you step into Tianjin building, you will see a bustling crowd in the lobby and groups of distinguished guests gathered in the elegant seats on the second floor. And Laowu followed her like a bodyguard, wearing sunglasses. "You're just going to use your own identity. They only know the official, not me, Jiang Wan. They are checking my personal asset accounts. As long as they verify my real name, they don't care what my identity is. Jiang Wan looked around. What do you think? For such a high-profile auction, will the boss of Jinyuan show up? Probably. After all, he is the seller. And Lao Wu took out a pocket watch and said, I'll go and take care of it for you first. After Lao Wu left, Jiang Wan walked around in the crowd alone, behaving quite naturally. In such occasions, the more reserved she was, the more attention she would attract. On the contrary, if she blended in with them and took the initiative to strike up a conversation, no one would care about her identity. At this time, Yanzhou walked in from outside the door, but did not alarm other people in the lobby and was very low-key. The tall, thin middle-aged man waiting in front of the stairs walked towards him and said respectfully, Boss, the private room is ready for you. He straightened his suit, glanced at the crowd in the lobby, and went upstairs. The middle-aged man followed behind him. Stepping into the private room in the attic, the middle-aged man asked the waiter to pour tea.